Okay, hour being passed, 7 o'clock, August 19th, open up the planning board hearing. First item of business, a bunch of minutes. May 6th, May 20th, June 17th, June 24th, and July 15th. I think those have been out for a while, and I didn't think we had any comments, so.
Mr. Chair, I had a couple comments on some of them.
Okay. All right, well, since I don't have them fun, did you send them to Kate?
I did, but I didn't realize until this afternoon that she's
Okay, just tell me
away.
which one, Sarah, that you had, so that we won't vote them.
Okay, so, July 15, I'm fine with.
That's okay, yeah.
And then, June 16, June 24, no comments.
Okay,
And the other ones I had a few things.
okay. I'll amend the motion to accept June 24th and July 15th. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a second? Any further discussions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstained, so 5-0-0 on that. Rolling along, Olmsted. I guess we got a letter from Kyle to say that, but by the way, Kyle won't be here tonight, so can't speak for him. And he says it's all right, so we'll have to put that on to the next meeting, for Olmsted. Cause he's gonna have to set that up and with Kate, and then we have to have a, what do you call it, residence hearing. So we need Kyle for that, just in case there's any questions, so we don't wanna do something and vote to release, well, we're not gonna vote to release, but have something till released, he's here, so Kyle can't make it tonight, so we put that off to September 2nd. Tall Pines, I made a copy. Kyle's not here to speak to that either. Did everybody read Tall Pines? With
Just
Kyle's,
a brief memo, right?
yeah, what Kyle said on Tall Pines is the developer's backing out, and it's not a cash bond, it's a tripartite with the Bridgewater Savings. And based upon his estimate and what's in the kitty left is enough to do it, so we'll have to start the procedures to do it. But I'd rather have Kyle here, once again, to talk about it, so that we get the actual, so because he's integrally involved in it, so he's advising, we can do it for the money, now we gotta go to the next step, so we're gonna need Kyle for that. So we'll do that September 2nd. All right, next item, since we still got for the first hearing, last time we left off, so now master plan. So what we have here is, we need people to be on the 2 representatives, send a notice to the other people involved, and advertise for the appointed positions, so,
I'd like to volunteer as one of the members.
okay, we need another one.
I'd like to volunteer as one of the members.
Well, you're already on one thing. Phil, what about you?
What thing?
You're on the IBZ thing.
We're done.
Yeah, basically done.
Yeah, but you've already done some. Phil, don't you wanna do this?
It's fine.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, I always like to mix it up.
Yeah,
Don't want you to stay at home. Nothing to do.
yeah.
You wanna do it, Phil? That's why I always like to spread around, everybody had a shot. And, I know, Sally, you might wanna do it because you wanna be involved, but this thing, give other people a shot and also gives you a little break, so.
Yeah,
All right.
just to note that I'm also on the housing partnership, so that's always.
Right, and Katie did the earlier
Okay, so.
studies with the master plan.
Make a motion to have Katie and Phil as our representatives on the master plan.
Second.
You have a second? Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right, to vote. All right, now, make a motion to send a letter to the.
Talk slow, I can't write that fast.
To do it. All you can do is say, send a letter. So you
I'm kidding.
vote to send a letter to the other people that we've included on this.
Yeah, the boards, you mean?
Yeah. And I don't know who they are, but we have that upstairs.
I guess it's on this list here that.
I don't have that, but if
Okay.
you wanna read them, John, that's fine. Kate, you don't have to write this down, because we don't.
Thank you.
It was in the packet, so you probably have it too.
If you wanna read
Yeah.
it, go ahead.
2 planning board members chosen, 1 recreation committee member, 1 member from either the Trails, Adams Farm, Concom, or Town Forest Committees, 1 from Sewer and Water Commission, 1 from the Housing Partnership, 1 from the Select Board, 1 from the School Committee, 1 from Economic Development Commission member, 1 from the Council of Aging, 1 business owner, 1 Historical Commission member, and 1 at-large member appointed by the planning board. Joe's sitting back there.
We already had 3 years of him.
We also need to,
Well, make that that's a motion, John.
Okay.
And I'll
A
second. it.
motion to send a letter to those people
Oh.
spoken.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, okay.
I'm sorry, I just didn't catch the motion to what now?
Send
the letter?
letters. We haven't invited them yet.
Oh, I
So
see.
it's say, here we are, guys. We're sending you a letter. You
Okay,
can't-
so to all the boards that we
Yeah.
requested,
And it
okay.
should be that no designee, it just has to be.
Actual member.
On the
Actual
board.
members, yeah. you
Okay,
can't
I'll
select.
vote in favor of that,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, and Pat also offered for the 2 members that are at large, the business owner and the at-large member, that they could, he
That we
would,
advertise.
he would be willing to
Yeah,
advertise it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to advertise it when Kate gets back. She can coordinate that, how that happens.
should be done similar to how selectmen do it, right?
Yeah,
Would even be on their page. They have
and whatever they
a
do,
page
They've got
where
a
you can
generic,
volunteer.
like, application we could probably borrow.
and go by the same time frame too, as, get back by this date. To us. Okay. That's the rule.
Do we have to vote on that too?
Yeah.
I make a motion to have Kate advertise positions.
Okay,
Second?
second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstained. Okay, now, going in order though. Mr. Bristol. I got it. All right. We have a request from Bristol Brothers attorney, and I'll read it, dated August 3rd. As you're aware, we represent Bristol Brothers for his industrial subdivision Renmar for the 55-acre property. We write and request a continuance of the public hearing until September 16th. My understanding, we don't need to give them an extension because they're all set, so I'll make a,
Well, do we have room on the 16th, or has she factored that in?
well, that's what I want to see. Yeah, Kate had already checked and said he's fine till
She
the end of
put them
September.
on the 16th already at
Okay.
7:05
Okay.
PM.
Okay,
Is there a point in which we say, like, enough?
Yes, I think there is, isn't there? Didn't
I don't
we
know what it
discuss
does,
that?
whether, because he's already building up there, the AQV, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's just,
Oh, this is that
we
other
hold
that
room
one
in the
other
meeting
piece that was never
for it, and then,
left open. Okay.
I don't know, maybe he hasn't told the applicant and he keeps billing them for these, but. All right, make a motion to continue this hearing up on September 16th at 7:05. Do I have a second?
Second?
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
7, 5, 1, 9, 16, 21. Okay, that's enough. Let's look at some time for New Worlds. All right, next one, zoning article, I think it was yours, Kate, from the
Yes.
selectmen, for the 10%.
So I just want to clarify to make sure everything's represented accurately. The reason I brought this forward was because I felt like I was throwing a lifeline out to give some power to us and some protection to the town until a bigger solution could be had. When the projects come before us, we sit here and we have no say when it comes to the affordable. There's been situations where we've even asked and they just say no, and we have to say, okay. So, and I don't find that okay. So, I knew it was not properly written, as I've never written a legal article like this before, and that's why I asked for it to go to town council. And my intent was that they would offer us suggestions, come back with something we could work with. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. They came back with their issues with it, but they didn't offer any suggestions. So as a result of their response and the lack of time left to revise it, I'm pulling it back right now. It's not because of, you know, all the discussion on Facebook or anything like that about it. It's because it's not ready, and so I'm pulling it back for that reason. And that's it.
Okay, you desire to pull it back.
I desire to
So
pull it
make a
back.
motion, because the people who voted, the majority has to make the motion.
Okay, I make a
Change.
motion that I'd like to pull it back at this point in time.
Okay.
And it's without prejudice, right?
Right.
Second?
You second? Okay, any discussions? So, all those,
Can I just say, I really appreciate the effort, and I think the intentions were good, and, I think that this board definitely should be working towards that goal, so I just wanted to thank you again, Katie.
okay, so, all set, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstain. Okay, so that one is over, and just write my notes too. To Kit. 10%.
Don't have to say
All right, the hour being 7:15, we have a continued public hearing for New World Estates. And Mr. Martin, correct? All right, I think you did some revisions, correct, Dan?
Correct.
And you sent it to him on August 4th, as I'm reading here. And right in my hands, I have the comments at the back. I hope they're here. We'll sign. I'm looking for them. Okay, first off, Board of Health. Health Director, August 9th, Board of Health at their meeting, June 21st, granted the Health Director to provide comments. The board will not be meeting. I think I read this before for some reason.
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay, I'll read what they had before. The board is not in favor of new construction within the wetland buffer zone. It has a long-standing stance on protecting the wetland water sources as well as protecting residents from human vector-borne illnesses. If this project approved, the board urges the applicant to, as well as future homeowners, to adopt standard practices for mosquito mitigation with the Norfolk County Mosquito Control for spraying and standard water treatment, institute regular cleaning gutters, proper grading, and the board also requests that there be adequate lighting through the development. A third light be added, since the development's on a public way, the street must be wide enough for trash truck removal.
I believe it says they approved it in there.
It does?
Yeah. Standard fare,
The health director approves it.
or directed her to
Approve it?
generate those comments.
Okay. It's funny how we skipped through that one. Next one is from Kyle Baldoff, and Kyle's not here. August 10th. I don't know if you've seen these yet, but
I have,
you haven't?
I have.
Okay, but no one else has, who's here for it. And talked about the 2 sheets he received, and he said, general scenic road plan has been included. Sheet C2, in response to the inquiry regarding conforming of the remaining lot 24 Peach Street, the applicant has responded that an A&R plan was endorsed by the planning board in 2019. But research reveals that the plan was endorsed on the 16th of 2020, January, but has to, temporary water sediment basins have been added. New comment, infiltration basin 3, still labeled as top 220. Current revision appears to make it 219. Contour labels appear misleading. Interior dash double line labeled 216.3, bold line labeled 218, extended double dash. He's going into all the,
We've addressed all those.
Yeah, the overflow
You
path.
haven't had a chance to review that plan yet, but we've addressed all those minor
okay.
typographical issues.
The scenic road is a new sheet that you've that you put on here, and each section of the relocated wall and fence indicating the maintenance of the wall to be the owners. And you show a gravel foundation and the wall details, specifically a depth below the block. Okay. See, 8 and 9, infiltration basin is still labeled 220.
It's all been addressed.
Correct those, Dan. 220, 220, 220. In general, I agree with the infiltration basins. He does ask for, per specification, for loam to be sandy loam, capability for infiltration. Basins 1 and 2, cross-section detail, resolve to make consistent the side slope for grading on the basins. One note says 4:1, the other one says 3:1. Also, the diameter of the outlet orifice for basin 1 is labeled 3 inches, while the scheduled dimension shows 4. And once again, the stormwater report says 3.
All been addressed.
Okay, do we get the bigger or the littler?
3 inches to correct.
Okay. You can't have 4, huh?
The math works the way the math works.
Include final documents, sections 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, which the conservation agent will likely require approvals. And could you enlighten what that is, since I don't have that in front of me?
What was the question?
Stormwater report, include final documents in sections 7.3, 7.4, and 7.5.
Yeah, that's when we get to construction. We need to update the stormwater pollution prevention plan, so that's a condition of approval.
So you'll be doing that with the Concom, right? That's
Concom's approved the project.
Okay.
So that's something that when we select the contractor and we're ready to build, we submit a revised SWIP plan
Oh,
to
SWIP, okay.
conservation. We don't have that information now, so there are some blanks in there that need to be filled out.
I understand, you need the contractor, okay. New comment, page 9, in the front of the stormwater report, lists the square footage on site, impervious to be treated at 11,223. Previous report was 14,851. The reduction in this value is not obvious.
I explained that to Carl.
Okay, so that's what we had from Kyle, so what you're saying is everything that you've done, this has been corrected since August 10th, which was a couple weeks ago, okay?
Correct.
Let me go on.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I see a request from the audience to speak louder,
okay.
if you could.
Is your light not on?
Yeah, but nobody's home.
Yeah, but
Light's on, nobody's home.
the light's not on.
It's on.
Okay.
I don't think there's a PA system in the room.
Yeah, I think
So
it's all
it's just for the, it's just for the
TV.
cable. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a problem, by the way. Yeah,
Note to Walpole Media.
yeah.
Here's something from Reich Sterrett, Deputy Health Agent. I didn't read this. It that Dan has provided us revisions of the new world, but was unable to get the last Board of Health meeting, and we do not meet until September 7th. Therefore, I've attached the comments from our department.
I think you just read that.
I just read, this is some, okay. Yep.
Kate said she did receive something twice, and she put it
Okay.
in because she received it twice. So she didn't know why she received it twice, with different dates on it. So that might be the one she was referring to.
Yeah, because when I read the other one, didn't reference the name on there, so, okay. From Timothy Bailey, Fire Chief, request for, street name, and he approves Christopher Way, and that's with no H, just CR.
Why does it say Litchfield?
It's been changed, and I've run that by the E911.
We got another one from Tim?
Which is correct then?
Do you have a comment letter from Paul Barry yet?
Paul's not the chief.
I'm aware of that. Wondering if you have a comment letter from Paul Barry yet?
I don't see it here, Dan.
Yeah, okay, I'm waiting on that, so the revised road name, I think, will be addressed in that
What's
memo.
it gonna be?
Litchfield's Way.
That's the revised.
Okay. All right, by, guess Paul's moving up.
Litchfield, right?
Correct.
So, S at the end?
Okay. These are all the comments from the, and the boards and everything that's been sent out this last time. I will open up the board, I will let the public also speak, so I'll start with John. Do you have any questions or comments?
Quick one. Comment about the mailbox, comment communal mailboxes.
Yep.
I don't see it on the map anywhere. Where is it gonna be located?
They are gonna be located,
It's out by the street, or is it up partway up the?
halfway up the road. They're gonna be here, near this curb cut.
Is that just for the three back ones then? Or
No, it'll be for everybody.
It'll be for all five?
Yeah, the post office wants a communal mailbox location for all of
Okay, I saw the picture with three, I didn't know if we're just doing the last three, with the other ones being on the
No,
side.
it's for everybody.
Okay. I think that's the only question I have right now, yeah.
Okay, Kate?
So, at our last meeting, we talked about the possibility of making the street a private road and making the homes more attractive to the neighbors. And you
And-
guys were gonna bring that back and discuss it and come back to us.
Yeah, we've discussed it with the applicant, and they don't wanna do that. They don't wanna do it as a private way. And I think, as you know, there's architectural control is not part of subdivision review. The applicant has made a representation that they do intend to build these single-family homes, particularly the one on the front, lot 5, which is the one closest to Peach Street. So they'll make that representation to you, to the board, but obviously it's, architecture's not part of subdivision control, there's nothing.
But it was explained very succinctly last time, neither is a private reduced road.
We're not doing that.
I understand, but if you were, then we could control. Okay.
Can't not say, I mean, I'm definitely disappointed, but it is what it is. We have no power. I'm all set.
All set. Phil?
Looking at sheets C6 and C8, could you just show how the water will be controlled that flows down Litchfield's Way, so it doesn't go in the driveway across the street? I just wanted to understand that.
There's a pair of catch basins here, which picks up the runoff from the cul-de-sac, puts it into these two basins. These two basins are connected. And then from here down, there's another pair of catch basins at the mouth. Carl asked us to beef those up to a double grade, even though it's not getting a lot of flow. It just will make sure the water gets in there. At double grade, those are piped into this infiltration basin. And there's
Okay,
no-
so you don't expect much runoff then to actually go down to Peach Street then? I noticed that you had the, for the driveway across the street, you're gonna be putting a little lip there so that would stop any water from going. And then it mentions, Carl had mentioned infiltration trenches abutting Worsey Way, the subdivision. I wasn't sure where that,
So.
if you could just show what the change was you were making and.
We didn't make a change. What it is Morrissey Way is a private way. Doesn't really have much of a drainage system. It has a pair of infiltration trenches along either side of it. So Carl asked us to take that into account and model it and figure out if those would overflow during larger storm events, which they will. So what we did is in our drainage design, we modeled all of this flow that in the larger storms would flow off in this direction and end up in this basin. So Carl wanted to make sure that we took that into account. So that this basin design changed a little bit, actually got a little shallower and a little broader, but that's the modification to the drainage calculations.
Is that why there's a stormwater easement then on that side of the property?
Well, we have, each of the basins is in a stormwater easement, so our basin here is in an easement, and this basin is in an easement. I don't remember off the top of my head what Morrissey Way has for.
Oh, it wasn't, no, it was more on the development
The
side.
easements on our side are basically encompass the stormwater management system, because they're gonna be maintained by the individual lot owners.
And for the three basins, that would be the individual homeowners would be maintaining those.
Correct.
And on lot 4, I know that was some of the questions, so could you just show that how you're containing the water so it doesn't flow off the development, particularly lot 4?
Well, what we do is we model the way lot 4 is gonna end up being built out. So what we're doing, and there's a note on the plan to this effect, that requires all of the roof runoff from the home on lot 4 to be piped into this stormwater basin. So the only thing that would discharge off-site would be the backyard area, and we've modeled that. We've included that modeling in our calculations. Everything, including the house and everything forward of the house, will end up flowing down into the detention basin.
Yeah, and then I do want to just also agree that, it's unfortunate that, I think keeping Peach Street with the look, I know that's beyond our board, having that basin right at the Peach Street level, along the Peach Street takes away from the look of the rest of Peach Street, but that's obviously changing, so.
So, one of the things, so we included the scenic road plan for the hearing in 2 weeks, but, there's gonna be a reconstructed granite wall across the front here with the white fence on top of it, and we've also added trees and shrubs behind that between the stormwater basin and Peach Street, so you're really not gonna see the stormwater basin. It's gonna be behind all of that, and it sits down below the grade of Peach Street, so it's not something that if you're driving down the road, you're really gonna notice. And the wall wraps around the corner on each one to around the full rounding here, basically ends right at the end of the rounding. So that's gonna be a visual obstruction between Peach Street and that stormwater basin.
And you said the scenic hearing is, you've already scheduled that?
It's scheduled for the
scenic
2nd.
road. What date?
For September 2nd.
Okay. I don't think I have other questions, but thank you.
Sarah?
Yeah, so there was a question brought up about the A&R, which was used in Lot 4, not being recorded.
Yep.
Do you have any update on that?
It will be recorded with these documents when and if this is approved.
Okay, and that's within the appropriate time frame?
There's no time frame for the recording of an A&R plan.
Okay. All right, I think I heard you say that Concom has approved?
They
Is that-
did.
Okay, do you have the date of the approval?
I was last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday, okay, because it's not on the town website
So
yet.
there's a revised plan sitting in Kate's office. That's the plan that Conservation Commission approved. I submitted it yesterday to you guys. It addresses all of the minor changes that Carl mentioned in his memo. That's the plan that Conservation approved, so
Okay,
that's complete.
okay. And did they do a resource area determination?
They did,
So that's part of it, so then.
correct.
what we have on our plan is gonna change slightly with this new set, as far as upland and,
No,
no,
everything.
still 100% upland.
The only thing that's gonna be different, the plan that's in Kate's office just has all those little notes and numbers about the stormwater basin elevations and things changed. In substance, it's the same as what we're looking at.
Okay. And they didn't have an issue with your dwelling unit going through the 100-foot buffer line?
The
Yeah.
development of Lot 4 will be the subject of a future permit with the Conservation Commission. So the Conservation Commission permits was the land disturbance permit under the stormwater bylaw, and
Okay.
also a wetland permit, just basically for this outfall of this basin here. The future development of Lot 4 is a separate matter.
I see, okay, okay. Okay, and I'm glad Katie asked about the private road. I also was hoping that we could come to a compromise there. Just wanted to check, the streetlights that you've shown, those are okay with the town engineer?
So we have one at the front, one at the end, and town engineer indicated at the last meeting, that's their town standard spacing, so I'm happy to put another one in the middle if you want. The road's only 300 feet long, but he didn't seem to think it was necessary.
Okay. And are you okay with making the small change to the wall detail that the engineer has requested?
It's already done.
It's already done,
It's
okay.
in Kate's
great.
office.
Okay. All right, and last thing I recall in a previous meeting, we had asked you if you could provide some pictures or something to the residents to kind of show how that basin will look like from
I
Fifth
have a
Street.
photo here on my iPad. I can certainly show it to you, or I can also email it to Kate if that's something.
Okay,
she
yeah,
can
maybe
email
we
it around
can
to you if you
Yeah.
want.
upload it to the town website, so
Sure.
it's available for the
Yeah.
people.
I'll email that to Kate tomorrow,
Okay,
or tonight.
so you have a similar picture, right? That's what you're
It's just a
showing?
grass, these are shallow grass stormwater basins. I know at the last meeting, we talked about maybe they would have a sand bottom. We've changed that. They're gonna have a grass bottom.
Okay,
So, it looks like, kind of like a patch of lawn, particularly if the neighbors, if the people who own the basins mow them
uh-huh,
like lawn, it
yeah,
kind of looks like lawn.
just gonna look like lawn. Okay, all right, that's all I had then, thank you.
Okay, my question is, I assume tonight we're not closing, Dan, correct?
No, we can't close
Scenic road.
tonight. You have a revised plan in your office.
Okay, and the other thing is, I didn't realize that, but also, you wouldn't wanna close before the, scenic road, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I didn't have any, that was on my big question, but while I got it, can I have an extension so I don't forget?
Of course. Last time, I think we gave you through the 31st.
Yeah, of August, yep.
What do you need?
Oh,
We're
end of
hoping to
September?
October.
No, he's on,
He's already on.
We had the scenic road on September 2nd.
okay, what do we got for the 16th? Is there room at the inn?
This is what we got. That's the second.
Peach, okay, no, that's,
Yep.
that's a big one, there was something,
And she said, don't book anything on the 16th.
okay.
Can we do the second,
Yeah, we probably can, because he's already given us the
if
plan.
he's ready?
I'll be here.
Yeah, well, we could give it to the end of September, Dan?
Okay, I request and grant an extension on the time in which to act on New World Estates up to and including September 30th, 2020.
Okay, I'll make a motion to allow,
Second.
for a second, any further discussions, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain, okay. Before we do anything, anybody from the public have any questions, comments regarding New World? If you come up to the podium.
I have one quick question. On the maintenance of these basins, is it just a question of
Yeah, why
mowing
can't we
them,
wait
or
Basically.
is there more involved in
It's
that?
not really more involved than that, no. I mean, if sediments accumulate, which on small roads like this is actually rare, you remove the sediments, but it's mostly just keeping the trash out and mowing the basins.
Okay, that's it, no one else? Okay, we will set this right after the Peach Street, so Peach is on, The scenic hearing's at 7:05, so we'll continue this till 7:06 on September 2nd.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I put it in pencil for.
We need to vote that?
I cannot write in this
No,
book and
it's
pen.
just giving them a time. What are you trying to do?
She told me to write it down.
Yeah, you can pen it in.
Nope,
We're not changing it. You want a Sharpie?
nope.
Oh, boy, I can't wait for Kate to come back. Okay, we'll have to, 7:20. Okay, we have a continued public hearing for Lincoln Road. All right. Lincoln Road Estates, okay. All right, so, we are open again.
You, did you do 7:06? Is that
Yeah.
what time?
Yeah. Okay, all right, Mr. Alameda.
Mr. Chair, good evening. Ladies and gentlemen of the board.
All right. Do you have anything? Because I got something, so.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, go ahead.
Okay. We've been bantering this around, so I requested opinions from town council on various items. One was about the 500 feet, and shooting within 500 feet. And what they indicated to us, town council, is that as long as you get permission, but they did, I asked them, would a buffer be in order? And they said, no, we can't put a 500-foot buffer, so we can't do that. So that kills that one. The frontage, about moving it, and as they said, and we give you a copy, I don't have, this is my only copy, that if adjoining property is not subdivided, but in the opinion of the board is suitable for future development, the provision shall be made for proper projections into the street, into the property. So basically what the town's attorney said, you can do it. We can push it up. That's in good planning practice, okay? And the final one was the gravel removal. I maintained that you can only do for our road, and you guys maintain you could do it all. And what he said for that one is, per section 5(1)(c) of the subdivision rules and regs, the planning board may limit the earth removal to the subdivision to that which is necessary for site preparation and construction unless a special permit is obtained from the Board of Appeals as set forth in the zoning board for the roads, utilities, and everything. I agree with the chair that the planning board is not required to approve a plan requiring earth removal in excess of what is needed to construct the roads and utilities and for the residential use. The amount of earth removal required to construct compliant roads and utilities to serve the proposed subdivision is an engineering question. I recommend the planning board review its consultants. So, as it said, is you can do it for our roads, but you can't take everything else down. So, we have a plan.
Unless we allow and get a special permit.
No, he has to get a special, it's a gravel removal permit that's issued by the zoning board.
Right, but that, I mean.
Yeah, they can get it, yeah, all they gotta do is go to another board.
Yeah,
So if they go to the zoning board, and the zoning board says, fine, they're okay with it, then fine, the plan's fine. So either, so what was, rather than belabor, what is the choice of the applicants?
Well, I think, first of all, I think we're in lockstep with town council. I think it's just a question of what the engineering perspective is on what's necessary to comply with that bylaw. So,
So what are you gonna do? Are you, because we got a plan that shows that you're gonna take it all out, our plan, but you don't have approvals to do that from the zoning board. And it's just showing what's necessary.
well, I guess I would agree with town council that it's an engineering question as to what's necessary and what's not.
But it's also, yeah, well, if you got 10 cubic yards of dirt still there that you didn't have to do for the road, it's still 10 yards, you still gotta go see the zoning board. So what you have here is they've said you can't remove more than what's necessary for the roads.
Well, Mr. Chair, I was just listening to what you were reading, and I haven't seen town council's comment, so I can't really comment on whether or not he sort of agreed. I think the only area that we disagree on is the lots. I think we agree on the roads, I think we agree on the utilities. I think it's just a question of the gravel removal with respect to the lots, and I think that's sort of a narrow disagreement. So I'd have to respectfully read what town council said, and then I guess, defer to the engineers to decide what's necessary to accomplish.
Well, in my opinion, I don't have the PE, but I did get a civil engineering degree, is if you're gonna remove it down, you can have hills and dales. Or you can make it like, I gotta do this and I gotta take the rest of it out. A lot of games could be played on how you're gonna take it apart. So, I mean, what it said is, you guys, the intention is to take this down to 0, truck out 600,000 yards. That's what's before us. They've told us, you gotta go get the special permit.
Well, I think it's still based on the disagreement that we're saying we need to remove that in order to build the lots, and I think that's the disagreement, is whether or not.
But you don't have a plan that shows us what's, would stay and what would go, do you? Go ahead.
You're in disagreement with what you're saying, so I think what,
I don't disagree with myself.
no, he's disagreeing with what you're saying.
Oh, I know, but what I'm saying, well, let's be,
So I think, just to clarify what the chairman, what I think the chairman's saying is, he's looking for a plan that shows the roadway, and then the hills cut just to build the roadway, the
Correct.
drainage basins, the utilities.
Exactly,
Et cetera, and not grade the lots. That's what he is making the claim, that that's what we're allowed to do by
Correct.
what council said.
And respectfully, I'd have to look at exactly what town council said, but I don't think that, I still think that
so,
we can
which
remove.
is,
That's what you're saying.
yeah, something's wrong, Rob. You agree with me? Yeah, you're gonna have,
He's
haven't
just
seen what
interpreting.
town council said.
yeah, but you'd have like 2 plans. Here's the yellow, here's the green. Yellow's what you're gonna do for us, green's what you wanna do for the rest.
We can show that, right?
You're gonna show it to us, you're gonna go get. So,
But I think the sticking point is, as a board, I think we're pretty much in agreement, maybe we can take another vote, is that we think you should go to the zoning board for this special permit.
And
So-
the legal counsel, you know, it's very clear. It talks about roads, drainage, and utilities depicted on the plan.
Well, in fairness,
Yeah.
I've requested both the question and answer that was asked of town council and what he got back, so that I could be a little better prepared to discuss exactly what he had to say about the lots.
Okay.
So,
just to clarify for everybody, he has a choice. If he wants all the gravel, he's gonna come to us, back to us, and go to the zoning board. If he just wants to build the lots, and he can show us how he's doing it through Hill and Dale, that's us, he doesn't need to go to the zoning board. We can't force you to go there unless you're showing us a plan that's taken the lots beyond what you need to do for roads.
so I think I understand that, Mr. Chair. Again, I'd have to see exactly what town council said, to again, sort of think about whether or not we're retreating from our position that we're able to, because I think V1C is a little more liberal than just roads, utilities. That's my reading of it. I'm happy to read town council's reading of it. I'd like to, if given the
It's,
opportunity.
okay, I can sit here till cows come home and talk to it. It's subdivision control, you're only allowed to build the roads. Do you agree that beyond the 46 feet, we have no control? Do you agree when you do a subdivision? When it's, all it is a road, we accept the road for 46-foot width. We don't do anything on private lots. So that's what that's saying. To build a road, you got 46 feet to do it.
I certainly don't want to belabor that issue again. I just want the opportunity to read what town council has to say
Yeah,
about it.
you can, okay, but I'm just indicating, yes, Mr. Truax.
So you'd be looking for a plan showing the roadway and then side slopes at 3-to-1 going up,
Yeah.
maybe some.
Whatever you'd have to do, if you, let's put it this way, if you get denied from the zoning board, you'd have to build it like that, right?
But they could just go to zoning board and get it taken care of, and then they wouldn't have to give us both plans, right? If they come
If
back with it
zoning-
approved.
Zoning board may request that themselves to
Right,
know
but
exactly
we
how
wouldn't
much.
need to.
Yeah.
You think there's a plan in between?
Say that again?
Well, I mean, if you show us hills and dales, right,
Yep.
would you be remodifying your streets? Or would you gonna keep them just like you want, and then,
Just like they are.
all right, so, you're good with that?
Figure it out.
All right, so it isn't like, you might have to cheat up a little for hill to keep the dirt there.
Or just grade it out with the side slopes,
All right, so you're gonna, so you'll show us a plan how to do it,
right?
and then, when you go to get the special permit, and they say, okay, you can come back to us, and modify the plan showing what's actually gonna happen.
Why do I have to modify it?
Because we're gonna approve a plan, and when Kyle goes out there, he's, where's the hill?
You're not approving anything outside the right of way, you just said that.
I understand, but don't you want a plan record?
Application, I'll show the grading for the road, you approve the
Okay,
subdivision.
fine, then we'll do it,
And then if
fine.
we have to go get a special permit to grade the lots out, that's what we'll do, but that's not, we wouldn't have to come back here for a modification to do that. Why would we come back for a modification?
If you wanted to change things on the roads.
Only if I'm changing the road profile.
Yeah.
Right,
So if you're gonna show me retaining wall,
I'm not gonna show you retaining wall.
so everything's gonna be sloped,
Everything will be slow.
and it's gonna be, but it'll be a slope easement, correct?
Use slope easement, temporary construction easements, you don't get them, we get them.
I understand, but it's shown on the plan like that. Okay, but you're gonna have to show us, and we don't have that in front of us, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
So we'll grade it out, 3-to-1 slopes, and show the road, you know, we gotta get into the detention basins, those will all be graded as they're shown, and we'll come back with a plan like that, and then,
Mr. Truax, I got a text, someone's asking if you could use the mic.
I'm sorry,
Thank you.
I didn't get that text.
Here.
I can't believe someone wants to hear you.
I can't either. So, yeah, we'll revise the plan, we'll show the grading for the road and what we need to build the drainage system,
Okay,
and that's what the planning board can approve.
I don't wanna beat the whole design, but all the retention basins go on private lots, correct?
You're in easements, correct.
So you have to show those for us, but if they disappear, that's all. That's only one
What do you
thing
mean
that's
if they
sticking.
disappear?
Meaning if you're bringing everything down, won't the retention basins have to come down?
Yeah, that's part of the subdivision.
But they will be on where you wanna take it out from the special permit from the zoning
Won't be
board.
part of, that's part of the subdivision approval, will be grading
Okay,
for the
that's
drainage
fine.
basins. That'll be in your approval.
You're the engineer.
Yeah, so we're gonna engineer the drainage system, we're gonna engineer the roads, they're all pertinent to the road.
Okay.
So all that would be on that plan, and we'll grade the side slopes accordingly, 3-to-1 slopes on every, you know, all around the roads, and
Okay.
that's what the planning board will approve.
Okay,
And then
so,
if we go, just get a special permit, if we happen to get one, and we have to grade it, that's outside the purview of the board, because it's off private property at that point, it's on the
Yeah.
lots.
hey, Rob, we started agreeing.
That's a
Sit down
fair-
while you're ahead. Go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, and then you also do the new estimates for how much fill would be
We'll
removed.
recalculate the fill, correct. We'll calculate the volume
And
that's
do it
coming
over the
out
3
just for the
years
road.
or
Yep.
more, yeah.
Yep, we'll give you a new volume calculation. What was the other comments in there? You read something else about providing right-of-way to the, was that what I was hearing?
No, what I asked him about, I wanted the cul-de-sac to go up to the gun club.
So leave a
Yeah, he
46
says
foot
the
way
plan
up to the
board-
gun club?
Yeah,
Okay,
but with that being said, though, is, that makes the most sense. But I don't know if that takes care of the easement issues. You guys worked those out yet, or I'm sure we're gonna have people that are gonna talk about that tonight.
We haven't, but respectfully, Mr. Chair, we're gonna try to take your lead and just focus on what's in the
Okay,
planning board.
just so I can make it clear, we can't approve a plan knowing there's an easement there that isn't located on the plan, that's floating. Because someone could say, I'm coming right through there, and that would be their right to go through it. So some guys in a four-wheel drive going up and over and through someone's yard. That needs to be resolved, and that's part of the, subdivision control, you gotta show all your easements. I know this, I call it a floating, but right now, we know it's over there, but if you read the document, it says you can access it anywhere from Lincoln Road. So if they chose tomorrow to move it 50 feet, they're within their rights. And you guys gotta lock them down on how you're gonna make that happen, right?
Theoretically, I certainly, again, don't wanna, I think the last time we were here, we had a sort of an animated discussion about the easement, I prefer not to.
About what, the easements?
Its existence or where it's
So
located.
you're still saying they don't exist?
correct.
Then what did I read? Okay, that's fine, that's fine, because I'm sure next time we'll be in the battle. Given that your plan is kinda like for now, right, Rob? Meaning, there's not a whole lot to talk about, because you're gonna have to come back. So, what I will do is, I think there's a lot of people here that like to talk, and what I'll say is, because the plan you see and everybody's looked at is kinda gonna get rejumbled, there's no need to ask questions on it at this point because it's gonna have to get redrawn. But if there's anything else anybody wants to know regarding what's happening with this subdivision, I'd ask you to come up to the mic.
I just had a couple questions.
Oh, go ahead.
So we submitted revised plans, just over 2 weeks ago, and we wanted to know if Beta had a chance to review those revisions, because we responded to his comments.
If who?
Beta Group, they did their, so we submitted revised plans to review.
Oh, okay, yeah, but I don't know, Carl's not here. That, where,
Carl, it was, just board sent it out.
yeah, I understand, it was going through Carl.
So did Beta have a chance to get the plans
I
and
d-
review what we sent in?
I don't know.
Don't know. I thought that was, you had to make that decision.
Well, first
to
off, the
send it out.
bait has been kinda like put over, Carl's kinda taking it over, and I'm out of the loop, he's not here tonight, so that's the third thing. I'm not putting you off, Rob, but you'd have to ask Carl what Beta's reviewed and what they haven't, okay? I mean, if they've reviewed it and they got it, he can send it to you, okay? I'm not, but like I said, I'm not sure what he's reviewed and what he hasn't.
Okay, all right.
Unless we wanna go to Carl's house in Plainville.
He's on vacation.
Put your
What?
mask on.
Isn't he on vacation?
I don't know. Okay, anybody, questions, comments regarding this subdivision? Want to come up to the mic and speak, or? No? Okay. Oh, ma'am?
So I have 3 questions. I'm
Sorry,
Betsy.
could-
Yes, sorry. Betsy Dyer, and I'm on Conservation Commission too. So trying to
Is it
understand.
S-E-Y or S-Y?
Betsey, Dyer, Dyer.
Thank you.
So I'm on Conservation Commission, so I know this is coming before us at some point. I think maybe in 2 weeks. And so I watched the last hearing for this on video, came away with some questions. Just to clarify for myself, not just because I'm on conservation, I'm just interested in this project. So it sounded like at the last meeting, there were 2 choices. Either 500-foot buffer between the club and the houses, or some kind of a large berm that would be maybe the product of taking down a lot of the gravel to create that berm. Did I get that right? That's my first question. Did I get that right, that there were a couple of choices? Or
If I remember right, and I'm sure Rob will correct me when I'm wrong, because he's real good at that. No, what they said, Betsy, was simply, they're not gonna do the 500 feet, okay? And they said Mass General Law allows if you're gonna shoot that way, but what they did say, that, correct me if I'm wrong, they're gonna put a berm up along there.
okay, so then it's not 2 choices, it's a berm. All right, the next question concerns the gravel. So we heard a lot about that. We heard Phil noting that it wasn't just 40 trucks a day for 3 years, it was actually 80 trucks a day, because Phil noted that it was a round trip. That was good of you, Phil. So I got to wondering, what's a commercial gravel operation? What's the cutoff for that? At what point do we say, oh, that's a commercial gravel operation, that's not just preparing the site? And the reason I'm asking is, isn't there a deed restriction on at least part of this property saying there can't be a commercial gravel operation? And does that come into play at all, or has that already been decided that it doesn't come into play?
Okay, I'll take it in 2 parts. I'll take the last part first. If there's a deed restriction about removal commercially, I'm not aware of it. I mean, I got one myself and they said it doesn't exist, so.
I think it was in conservation comments.
So if you have one, you could forward to us. The
But
sec-
actually, Jack, I think we did, so look through
Oh,
the
you did?
paperwork.
Oh.
Yeah, conservation comments.
Oh, and you had the actual deed? All his volunteers are here tonight, and everyone else on vacation. Sorry, I don't see it here, but we'll find it. And on the gravel operation, when it becomes, well, to me, if you're getting a special permit to remove gravel, that would be a commercial. If you're, but there is, I've heard from a couple different people, there is a limit when you do a subdivision, you're gonna build a road, is at what point are we masking this as a commercial operation, at how many yards? So say you're gonna build a subdivision one house on Mount Washington and you take out 10 billion yards. No. They set, well, my understanding, they set how many yards before it becomes, they deem it commercial, just with the subdivision. I'm not sure what that number is, but that's what I've been told. But as far as beyond our road, what they have to take out on the private property, that would be considered commercial, and that's why you'd have to go to the zoning board.
And finally, I'm always interested in right-of-ways, and I know that certainly adverse possession could come into play if people have been driving up and down that road every single day for the last 30 or 40 years. Is that something that you are considering on planning?
The gun club has been using a lot of that land over the years for Boy Scouts and bow and arrows and that stuff, so they have used the land. Now, it's up to them to claim adverse possession. It's not whether they do it or they don't, that has no bearing on our board. That would be up to the gun club to, if they want to enact that adverse possession.
Well, are you talking strictly the access?
Well, I actually meant the access road, driving up and down it almost daily, perhaps.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if that would be considered their easement, but the easement floats, or you could say that's adverse possession. There's something else there too. And one of the issues they have right now is, unfortunately, where the gun club road goes, they're a little bit on the home for little wanderers. So if those ever sell, or they ever come in and try to take them out, they're gonna have to move it if this doesn't do anything, so.
Mr. Chair, I can address that question.
Address what?
The
If you want, yeah.
easement by adverse possession. It's called an easement by prescription. You have to have a 20-year continual use of the right-of-way, and in theory, it would need to be adverse in the sense that it can't be permissive. So, again, not to dive too deep into the easement issue, but it's our contention that it wasn't being used adversely. It was being used with permission, so therefore it's not an adverse possession easement or a prescriptive easement, so.
The road? Yeah, I agree with that, but up on top of the hill, they've been using that for bow and arrow, and the Boy Scouts, they've used all that up there forever. That would be considered an adverse possession. And as you know, there's no signs up there that you're supposed to put private property keep out, that would keep them from being adversely possessed. So that you do, it's not so much, I understand about the road, I agree with that, but up on the hill, whatever they've done over the years, and that club's been in existence at least 80, I mean, it's a lot longer than 20, so there is that situation up there, but what you said about the road, yeah, I'll defer, I agree with that one. Anyone else have a question or comment? Okay. It's your turn, Rob. Yeah, since we're at no one has comments, it's nothing talking to plan. New plans, extensions, I'm sure Johnny wants it by on the 2nd.
No.
We can't go until October 7th.
No, I know what I'm saying. Let's be realistic, Rob.
We will. So let's just clarify what we're gonna provide you from now to the next meeting. So we're gonna provide you a new plan with grading that's required for the roadways.
Correct.
And anything else other than that?
Well, you're gonna probably wanna include what you're taking out for dirt.
Yeah, we're gonna give you quantities. on
Notice
that.
I'm calling it dirt because I'm not giving you the gravel. It might be dirt, you guys might argue, but it's
Material, how about
it's
material?
dirt.
Material.
So the other thing
Would
is,
that affect the
we did
phasing?
see some comments today from
phasing?
Carl.
Subdivision
Did you
phasing?
folks get
Um,
those? Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
She asked about the phasing. Whatever you have to do for phasing, however you're gonna do, you're gonna redo the plan if it affects phasing.
Yeah, that will, obviously, if the gravel, the entire site is not included in that, and we're just doing the roads, that will change the phasing completely.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not gonna, that will change the phasing. So we're gonna build out the roads then, if that's the case. So we did, I did receive comments late today from Carl, town engineer. I'm assuming the board saw the same.
So you're not referring to August 10th?
I got an August 19th letter today. Did you folks get
We
that?
got it late this afternoon, I
Late
think.
this afternoon.
Late this afternoon.
Yeah, late.
So,
Yeah.
you know, we'd like to have time to go sit with Carl, maybe next week, and go over his comments this week, and iron those few things, the last few things out, get that taken care of. Find out where he stands with the beta review. So, and then we'll revise the plan, and I guess the third thing is, so we're gonna revise it for the grading, we'll give you a new phasing plan, we'll give you new quantities. So the third thing is, are we looking to have a right-of-way that extends from that cul-de-sac up to the abutting property? Is that what the board's requesting?
No, just extend the road in the cul-de-sac.
We can push the whole road up? Well, I don't think we don't wanna push the cul-de-sac up, we just wanna give a right-of-way up through there for future, for future.
Yeah, okay. as
We're
long
not
as-
gonna build it.
Oh, you're gonna leave the cul-de-sac where it is?
Leave the
That's
cul-de-sac
fine.
and extend the right-of-way through.
That's fine, you can do that, that allows them, if, whatever, and if they need to do a cul-de-sac, they can do it on their own dime.
Correct.
Okay, no, I agree with that, Rob. Yeah, that's fine.
We'll extend the right-of-way up through the cul-de-sac. and go
Yeah,
right
it's
up
kinda
property
like
line.
the famous case of the Hassenegger versus Sullivan up off of Gould. Same thing, we didn't make him build a cul-de-sac, we just had him, he just extended the road to that.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's, I didn't
I mean,
think of it.
kinda like, you know, what we're doing on Deerfield, we're building out to the cul-de-sac.
Correct, no, that's fine.
Okay. I think that's it then. So could we do, we don't wanna do, obviously don't wanna do September 2nd. Don't
So
wanna do
the first opening's
can't-
October 7th.
October 7th.
Yep.
October 7th is the next opening.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so you got a little bit of work cut out for you. I don't know if Cal,
We might have
what?
one more comment from
Neighbor.
on the gun clubs, yeah. And he wants to speak to that. The problem with the right of way going through.
Yeah.
is I don't think they want all the traffic going through that way, and that would eliminate the berm blocking the club.
It's, okay, here's the issue so you understand, is right now we have a gun club that's been in existence, and it's one of those things, right now, if you try to get a fire truck or anything up there, you'll never do it. So you want something that's at least you can get there. So, what, I guess what's your plan?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, thank you, Planning Board, for letting me
Hey,
speak.
I'm sorry,
John
Bing.
Saya, SAIA,
You beat me to it.
President of the Walpole Sport, current President of Walpole Sportsman Association. I don't know how long I want to do this, but, in looking at this, meaning that it'd go up this road and through, just on our right-of-way of what we're using as an access road today, we got some people that have diesel engines that are quite loud, and there's been complaints, so we've had to monitor that, police that. I look at this and I see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 houses. What's that gonna do for the neighborhood? I don't think they're gonna appreciate some of the vehicles going in and out of there, 'cause, you know, the club is open till, could be open till midnight, right? And, people are in bed and they hear a diesel truck go down the road and wakes them up, they're not gonna be appreciative of that. So we have a concern with that. This here, what's here today provides a buffer. Well, there's nothing there, but it would provide a buffer. That would be, again, we don't wanna be getting yelled at every week. That's an
Well,
issue.
what town council said is it's basically up to you guys, but a couple comments, I think I already made one. You're gonna have to move the road off of, Little Home.
Well, we looked at that too, and there's a few areas, it's not a huge amount of land that has to be corrected. Some of it's like 3 feet by about 12 feet, and then there's some little corners here and there, so it's not much
Okay.
that violates that, so we're okay with that.
Well, I'm sorry, everybody didn't have the comments, but town council did indicate whatever they wanted, meaning if they didn't want it and they want something else, that's fine. So it sounds like you guys kinda agree you don't need it.
Well, as you know, an entity, we gotta go in front of the membership, and they have to have this saying it is 450 strong, and, we'd have to present that opportunity front, but I can tell you, we've had a couple of meetings.
Okay.
There's a lot of concern about the 500-foot buffer. I know it's a state law at the state level, but it's a violation to our shooting fields. And once you take care of that land and take trees down and remove earth, the sound's gonna be louder. So there's a lot of concern. And that's death by 1,000 cuts for us, because when everybody's left the neighborhood, we're the ones getting sued. So we're concerned about that. But this just adds to it.
Okay.
I wouldn't buy a house there if I had to deal with traffic. all hours of the day. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think traffic's their least problem.
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah,
Sunday
I mean,
morning,
That coupled with.
Thursday night,
That coupled with Thursday nights and Sunday mornings and events that we have, from time to time. We hold 6 or 7 shoots a year.
okay.
We have 80, 100 people. So anyway, we'll discuss that. But
Okay,
right now, I
now,
can say,
what I'm gonna caution you
Mm-hmm.
is you need, this is your time to get it all corrected. Because if this goes through or something, and all of a sudden, you get the new clubhouse, fire chief says that road's inadequate.
oh.
It's gonna be on
we're
your
aware of
dime.
that.
It's gonna be on, the other thing is, you may not have enough area to correct what he wants.
Right.
So, before you guys say, we love each other, you gotta find out what they're looking for, so that you're not gonna get trapped.
I still think there's a lot of conversation we have to have with Mr. Walsh and Brian and stuff like that around. And Phil, as you know, is not here due
Yeah.
to a health concern. He's the spokesman for us, but we're in constant discussion with him. You know, we're trying to give him some time to get back on his feet, obviously. But, you know, we still have to present to the membership some of the options.
Yep.
Those haven't all been discussed yet, and once they are, then, you know, we need to sit with these gentlemen and try to figure out something that we can coexist. Because right now, I will say, and I wanna go on record, is that we did put in front of the membership, and they're just totally opposed to the 500-foot issue. Not so much the boundary line, but the shooting fields, because that's the biggest issue.
Yep. The only thing, that when you showed the membership, what'd they think about the Y? Because you're gonna have to, the Y is gone, now you're gonna have
We
to.
know that.
Okay, you know that.
We've already, that road, that's the exit.
Yeah.
We know that this would have to be two-way. We've already talked about that, there's not a lot of concern about that. It's just less road to maintain.
Okay, and I can't emphasize once again, is you have a new clubhouse, and all of a sudden, I can't get my ladder truck up there, or the ambulance, and then all of a sudden, you guys are stuck footing the bill, and maybe you don't have enough. Before you cut the cord, just make sure,
But we're not cutting cords.
no,
We're-
but
we're
go
trying to
over
be-
here and
yeah.
talk. This isn't even for them, as far as, that doesn't affect these guys.
Right.
What you wanna do, it affects you guys 100%.
Why we hired Phil. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so,
I'd like to make a comment.
yep,
I just want to clarify, John got into a lot of stuff there. Sorry, Mark Robinson, Vice President of Walpole Sportsman's Association,
M-A-R-C or K?
M-A-R-K. So just to clarify, we had a meeting on the 1st of August with our general membership, a regular general membership meeting. We took 2 votes. One of them was to authorize our attorney to be the spokesman. Unfortunately, he can't be here tonight. The other one was to take a position. The club's position right now, the only position that's been authorized, is that the club is opposed to this project as it is proposed. As far as all the other stuff about what we're good with and what we're not good with at 500 feet, that was not authorized by the membership.
okay. All right, so, anyone else? Everybody all set? So, continues, give it to Halloween? John, are you gonna give it? If I don't care,
October's up.
no, but we need the extension through the 31st.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to allow the applicant to, for us to take action up through October 30th, 1st, 2021. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have a second? Discussion? All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, that's 5-0 for the extension, and I'm not sure what we got on the 7th.
Pencil.
Solar. Solar. All right, it looks like 7:30 is fine.
Okay.
We can, this will be continued, 7:30 on October 7th. There's 2 solar things in front of us, I'm not sure what they entail, but it will be 7:30 on the October 7th.
Thank you.
Okay?
Ask another question, unrelated to this.
You're scaring the shit.
He's gonna beat you if you give him the wrong answer.
The hearing on West Street going forward tonight, for the site plan?
No.
Not? Is it continuing?
Yeah, I think I got that late today because Phil's sick.
Okay.
Phil representing me. Yeah, Phil had something else, he got a couple tonight, yeah. They want to continue. Oh, that's right, you're affected by it.
Totally affected by it.
Are you gonna bitch, I mean, are you gonna critique it?
No, I will, if you want.
Didn't they know you lived there?
They notified me as a butter.
Yeah, but what
I
I'm
don't
saying,
dislike the project.
I'm just saying, wouldn't it be smart to hire the guy who could be opposed to it?
I might think that, but, no, I don't dislike it, I just have some issues with it.
That's
From
fine.
a town standpoint.
Yeah,
not
but
from-
no.
Make sure they dot their i's and cross their t's.
Huh?
Make sure they dot their i's and cross their t's, you
Yeah,
know.
that's all. I thought it was a pretty unique idea.
True.
That's new.
Will it sell?
Okay, we'll do some drawing.
That one, hey, I gave it an attaboy for that one, Sam, just so you know.
Be
All
careful, be
right,
careful.
I'm gonna jump out of order, and I'm gonna go, because it's past 7:30, on 130 West Street, 25 Spring Street. We had a request from the applicant who was sick, or the attorney, and he wanted it open and continue without testimony. And so with that being said, I will make a motion to open the hearing and continue without testimony, but first, he has also given us a extension that we have to vote first. So I'll make a motion to allow an extension of time up through September 30th, 2021 for Paragon Investments, 130 West Street and 25 Spring Street. Do I have a second?
Is that enough to get on the
Is that
agenda?
enough?
Oh, yeah,
Because he's gonna be on the 16th.
Is he already on there?
No, he's going, I can't put him on. You gotta give the extension, then you can put him on.
Kate said nothing more on the
But
16th.
she
You
said
can't
we're
fit-
all full, we can't put anything else on the 16th.
I already talked to her about this. She wanted on the 16th.
It's on you.
I don't care. Maybe I'll be on vacation that week.
She told me, that's fine if you talk to her. She told me, we're all full, do not book
Okay.
anyone on the first two meetings.
Okay, well, let's finish the vote. Do we
Okay.
vote this? Okay, made a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Who seconded that?
John did.
Okay.
We have 5-0-0 for the vote,
Aye,
okay.
yeah.
We got Peach Scenic Road. She told me that September 2nd was the big one. Okay, tell you what, well, we'll do it on the 2nd, unless there's something else gonna, because we got Peach Street, which we just talked about, an A&R,
Well, thing is,
and a preliminary, which is not a big deal. I don't know why she thought the 2nd was so bad. So,
Okay.
all right, so for you guys here for West Street and Spring? Okay. The attorney's sick, he wanted to open it, but just to continue, so we're gonna give him another date and time, which will be on September 2nd, 2021, and we'll give it to 7:30. Okay? There's a couple other in front of it, but they shouldn't be long, so are we gonna be at 7:30? No, it might be 7:45, but it should be, it's not gonna be 9 o'clock, so just so you guys know, okay? All right. September 2nd. She can't talk to everybody, because she gets it all nutsy, right? Okay,
She's not nutsy.
well, she said to me, okay, and now, with the hour being after 7:29, we have the continued public hearing. Al Asadi.
Al Sarabi.
I know, Dan, I'll never, ever get that right. Why did you tell me it's second?
Nobody cares.
Joe, you can't leave.
Please?
We were happy to have you here.
Whoa, there's no vote.
you gave character to the room.
Okay. With the hour being after 7:29, we have a continued public hearing. Al Sarabi, Sarabi Estates, okay. And we have one, I'm looking here, Dan, is I have Carl's based upon August 9th. You in agreement on that? That, request information that covenant be added.
Yeah, that would be after the approval.
Okay, yep, and that the council, the applicant submitted a draft of private way. I reviewed and found them to be in order. Okay, that was one, except for some typos. But, all right, that's the one I knew was kinda hanging there. And, okay, and special conditions he had talked about was referencing deed plan 227 and 97, on a previous established 100-foot buffer. The road showing private, subject to a covenant, and that the removal of building and restoration work within the existing 100-foot buffer shall be accomplished prior to the issuance of the first building permit. That was his comments, so, now, the question is, and maybe you know, I shouldn't be asking the applicant, but it's your neck, not mine. I can't remember, did we vote these waivers?
No, you haven't voted anything yet.
Okay, I just wanna make sure, cause typically we gotta do the waivers before anything else, okay? And okay, that goes way back. All right, and trying to see where the waivers are.
On the cover sheet of the plan.
The cover sheet, okay.
I have a question on one of the waivers.
Okay, go it, while I'm looking.
Can you explain why you
Usually.
require a waiver to not require utility easements?
Sorry.
There's a reference in there about granting utility easements to the town.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna be a private way if you accept it as a private way, so I don't know that the town wants utility easements. I mean, if you do, that's fine.
So what happens if there's a problem like with the water main?
It's a private party. That private party would be responsible for that. We could grant
But
easements to the town.
But the properties are gonna get town water,
True.
correct?
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
we
we can
don't-
grant an easement to the town over the private way. That's fine.
We just don't want to take responsibility for it.
Right, you don't wanna be responsible for any of it.
Yeah, so I think an easement would, grant access should,
Fine. Yep, there's no problem with that.
okay.
Okay, so that will be, I think Kate already had that on, not that one, but grant easement, what lot?
That would be relative to granting an easement to the town, so that would just strike that waiver request.
But yeah, just
Oh,
waiver
just give me the-
number
I'm sorry.
7.
Yeah.
What, number 7?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, we have the motions, and anybody wanna do them all at once or one at a time?
The waivers?
Yeah. I could read them each one and then,
Why don't you read them all and then we'll
okay.
vote?
Section 4-3A to allow minimum inner street line curb radius of 123 feet. 4-5E to allow the existing center line maximum grade to be 8.5% to remain. 4-5G to allow the existing leveling area slope of 3.5% to remain. 4-6C3 not to require slope basin bottom. 4-6C5 not to require a stone line channel from the discharge to the outlet structure. Number 6, 4-6J to allow HDP pipe instead of concrete. 7 was struck, and the 8, just so everybody will go in line, 8 was 5-64 to allow a roadway pavement width of 20 feet. 9 was 5-6B-C to allow existing roadway pavement and gravel concourses to remain. 10 is 5-7A-B-C to allow Cape Cod berm for existing and new roadways. 11 is 5-8 not to require sidewalks. 12, 5-9 to allow grass strip to vary in width, slope, and vegetated cover along the existing pavement. And 5-10 to allow the existing side slopes along the existing pavement. All right, those are the waivers. Does anybody have any issues on any of those?
Can I just ask, so Carl has taken a look at this new set, right? And he's seen these waivers?
Yes, they've been on there all along. The only thing we changed in this last set was the 2 notes that you asked me to modify in the last meeting. Everything else is the same.
Anything all set?
Um,
Any other ones?
yeah,
He
yes,
says, yeah,
if
he
I
says
just wanna
that
make sure.
you agree with the
Okay,
responses.
from August 2nd,
Change
okay,
that.
okay.
I'll make a motion to grant all waivers read that are numbered on the plan 1 through 13, with number 7 being stricken. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Okay. Any other issues, Dan?
No, so just to be clear, when I give you a plan for endorsement, I'm taking all the conventional stuff out of this plan set, correct?
Yeah, because you're not gonna record that, doesn't need to be there, and you'll screw things.
It'll
people up.
confuse everybody if
Yeah,
it's in
at the
there.
later date, yep.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
great.
It's only gonna be what's on the ground, what we,
Understood.
what we approved. I don't think, no one's ever asked that question before.
I just like to be sure.
I don't know if anybody's ever recorded with that, with those sheets, but. Okay, before we close the hearings, I just wanna tell the board what we have for special conditions. And that was, the special conditions are the ones I just read from Carl.
I gave you a draft, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
with
I'm looking at
special
that.
conditions in and some modifications to your standard conditions.
Yeah, I see that. And,
I have some questions still.
I do too, actually.
okay, okay, the questions?
You wanna go ahead, Phil?
Yeah, mine is on the covenant,
Okay.
so in, Bill Mackey's, email, he mentioned that, I'm trying to find the right copy here. He mentioned that, let me just, give me a second here. There's a covenant, right, and he mentioned, and there was a draft of it, right?
It's attached to one of Carl's letters.
Letters, yeah.
Back of this one.
Yeah, and he mentioned that there was one thing that Maggie used to request, and that was the, there was the self-help clause. So he's asked if we wanted to keep the self-help clause.
Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
So I didn't know what that meant.
I don't either. Sorry to say.
It wasn't clear to me if it was still in there or if it was.
She gonna be able to read those?
No, I'm gonna have to type them. The whole notebook should be full soon.
Oh, what she
And
got?
so
Right.
his
Handwriting.
email was, please see attached, both are formatted along the lines of agreements previously used by the town. The main item you and I need to discuss is the self-help clause for the town and the covenant. Maggie wanted it in a couple I did with the town. I think it makes sense, but some folks were worried it obligates the town, even though the language specifically says it does not. I'm happy to leave it or delete it as you see fit. We can discuss it once you have read it over. I don't know whether he's already handled that.
So it's
or-
in there.
What?
It's in there.
It's in there.
And Carl generated his comments and didn't strike it, so you certainly could add a condition to any vote you take that says that, you know, the final legal documents are subject to review and approval by town staff. But I think we're there, but
Yeah, no, I just wanted to,
Well, what he said it on his things in general. That's where he said, except for minor typographical.
yeah, he didn't mention it there.
Yeah, so he said he was fine with
Fine with
it.
it. Okay. And the chief, the fire department was fine in the end with the road, right? That was,
yep.
yeah. Okay, that's all I have.
So,
So, it looks like, at some point you had changed the lot line between 2 and 3.
Between 2 and 3.
Yeah, there's some kind of access easement, and there's some inconsistencies between sheets.
Well, 2 and 3,
So if you look at, like, the cover sheet looks different than,
talking about this line here?
yes.
This is the no waiver layout sheet, so this is gone. Pen is not there.
Okay,
Going away.
okay,
So sheet C5 is the layout sheet, right? We have two layout sheets. We have a conventional layout sheet and a waiver layout sheet.
okay.
So C4 is disappearing from the plan set.
Okay, so, I'm guessing that access easement is for the barn and the,
Kiln,
right, that's being relocated?
correct.
It doesn't look like it's within that access easement, is it, or,
The barn and the,
yeah, those are gonna be
and the chicken
moved,
coop are being moved.
but even when you move it, I don't know, it looks like it doesn't fit within what you're calling,
It will. I'll double check that, but it'll fit
okay.
So both of those buildings are being just moved up towards where the pond is?
towards the road, correct.
Okay, so that difference was only for the non-waivered.
Correct.
I see, okay. And so then, if you take out that non-waivered plans, looks like that's where you have the zoning table. And it's with the,
There's a zoning table on C5 at the top.
oh, okay, so that's the real numbers.
Correct.
Okay. All right, I wanted to make sure that that didn't go away. Okay, and so are we going to get an update with the gun club discussions and the 100-foot buffer and the 100-foot vegetative buffer?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we did what they asked us to do. They asked for some things that we weren't willing to do, legal things, but as far as the plan is concerned, we did what they asked us to do, which is the structures are coming out of the 100-foot buffer. This whole area is getting regraded a little bit, replanted with trees and shrubs and vegetation. It's all been approved by the Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission approved the order of conditions for this.
Do you have-
There
do you
are
have the-
signs in each of the lots that indicates the edge of the vegetative buffer area. That's everything they asked for, so
Okay,
it's all on the plan.
and do you have the date of conservation approval?
Conservation approved it on July 14th.
Okay, and did they issue guidance for the 100-foot vegetative buffer?
They approved the plan as drawn.
Yeah, because that was the thing they rejected, the wood chips.
Yeah, which
That
is,
was-
which is fine.
That was the,
Okay, yeah, the other comments I have to do with the special conditions, so, thank you.
Okay. All right, we're going through the little thing I see you want, transparent cloth.
I'm just asking you. Nobody does that.
We do.
You want to leave it in there.
You want microfiche cards too?
Nobody uses cloth. They use Mylar.
I know, and they don't.
We have pencil drawings still in our,
Pencil
in
drawings,
our
yeah.
standards,
Yeah,
which is
that's-
a bit ridiculous, but,
Yes. I just highlighted, if you want to leave it in there, obviously, it's not gonna be a problem, no one's gonna do it, but.
But the other thing, it's a matter of what they accept down in Norfolk, right?
Mylar.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is you could do cloth, but if they take Mylar, what do we care? And you're talking about stormwater basin?
Yeah, so on 7, this is something that we worked out with the Conservation Commission. Landis at the Conservation Commission, Stormwater Basin 1 is this one basin that's basically designed for this house. She wanted the flexibility for me to be able to move this basin around when we come forward with a plan for this lot, and if possible, move it further away from the wetland. So they have a condition in their approval that says we can move it around if Carl blesses it without having to go back to the Conservation Commission, and we would like the same provision here, that as long as the town engineer is satisfied with the final position of that basin, that we can shift it around.
Okay. And 12 is talking about a if
And
you leave.
12 standard about a construction entrance, but that's an existing paved driveway, so we wouldn't, you know,
So
we
you
wouldn't
don't
put
need it.
riprap on top of the pavement. So I just modified the language there. Then Phil marked up 18 to just reference the correct legal documents.
And then you put Starlight Drive, which we needed, right?
4, yep. And then 29 is no sewerage, so
Yep.
I took that out. And on 30, so you don't, yeah, you don't want any reference to using them as public ways, right? Because this is gonna be a
Yep.
private way, so I struck that from
Correct.
30.
I think the practice we've done in the past, Dan, since we have standard conditions, just like you see in, I see a lot of spec books, you leave it in, but say not applicable.
Okay.
Okay, it's just, it's easier for people when they're used to reading. What happened to 29 is, 30 is now 20, you know. It's a matter of.
Do you wanna leave
preference.
29 in?
No, we're gonna, Kate will do it, but, no, 29 will say not applicable.
Oh, okay.
So
Instead of striking the whole thing?
Yeah,
Understood.
and then moving 30 up to 29, because it's much, much simpler when you go to look at it.
I agree.
And if someone wants to know what 29 was, they can go look at the regular one. Okay, and we have for our special conditions, Kyle is, might as well do these now, is
Yeah, these are the 4 that Carl talked
Kyle
about.
has asked reference to be made in Norfolk County Plan Registry of Deeds 227 of 1997 book, deed book 11773, page 715. Previously recorded a 100-foot buffer zone shown in lot 1, 2, and 3 on current plans. Restrictions relative to the prior buffer area and are not modified by this decision to allow items required by sheet 6 of the current plan to be implemented, except to allow, I'm sorry. So that's telling us he can do that, that's what, and the proposed road shall remain private, subject to a covenant, which all lots are subject to, and the removal of buildings and restoration work within the existing 100-foot buffer shall be accomplished and approved by the planning board prior to the issuance of the first building permit in the subdivision. Subsequent building permits may also be withheld if shrubs and trees do not thrive. And the last one, the number of lots in the subdivision shall be limited to 4 unless further approval is obtained from the planning board for the modification of the subdivision. Interior lot lines in the subdivision may be revised by approval not required. Oh, I've never seen all this. Of course, I don't even know if we need number 4.
Well, you wanna limit it to 4, right?
Yeah, it's limited to 4.
What I just wanted to be clear is that that doesn't mean the lot lines can never change, as long as,
No, I understand, you can do it in an A and R, okay. Okay. All right, so those are the 4.
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
The fire department had requested snow removal language and parking restrictions as a special condition,
Let's see.
which I'm sure you're
that's fine.
amenable.
Yep.
Okay, if you wanna read them, go ahead.
I was just looking for it. I don't think I brought that sheet with me.
I might be able to find it here.
It's in his letter, and he just said, you know, we request, snow removal language and parking restrictions. And I think he even said, like, as a special condition.
And I'll be in here if it was.
I should have had it. Thought I had my stuff.
What I got from Deputy Chief Paul Mary is updated on July 13th. I even have, like, Sarah wants it as a condition. Approval access roads shall be subject to the AHJ and cable supporting imposed loads of fire apparatus, or shall be provided with all-weather surface. So that's one special condition, correct?
Yeah, we can add that.
Because I have it down here, you wanted it, and let's see.
You can add another condition that just says no parking is allowed on the private way. And I don't see anything in here about snow removal, but certainly a
I
condition.
don't either.
Condition that, you know, that the road be kept clear at all times.
Well, we'll make this, the one there on the AJH as condition 5, and the condition after that would be the no parking.
No parking along the private way, and that the road be maintained, free of snow.
Thank you.
Please, okay. I didn't see anything else, so everybody agreeing on those special conditions? No.
Yes.
Making a formal motion? In favor? So I have a second?
That's 7, right? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
So, okay, all the, have a motion on a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, and let's see, 7 special conditions. And I also make a motion to modify the standard conditions as reviewed.
Second.
Give it a second.
Second?
Okay, all, do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, all right. I'll make a motion to close, then we can vote. Make a motion to close?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, make a motion to approve Al Sarabi Estates,
There you go.
okay? I saw the R in there. In accordance with the standard conditions and special conditions as voted by the board. Do I have a second?
Second?
Do I have a second? Phil, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Okay,
Thanks for your time.
bye-bye.
You'll be glad to see this off your agenda, I'm sure.
God, come on, Dan, we'll miss you.
He'll be back.
You gotta mix up your cover sheet. I keep getting the two mixed up. It looks exactly the same as the other one.
Cover sheet, so you know it's a legacy plan.
I know, I mean, you have nice plans,
The
but
legacy doesn't
gotta-
exist, the only one I see exist when I go by is America. You still haven't changed that, have you?
Oh, the sign outside?
Yeah.
Everybody knows where I am, it doesn't matter what I call it.
Yeah, but someone may be going by and say, gee, I need an engineer. Driving down 109.
Never had a problem with work.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
all right. Next, so jumping on the agenda, we have 2 articles that Kate has requested. Okay, if you want to explain.
So without Kate here, I don't know what you received. So I made copies of what I had, but I don't know if you already have it. So I don't know if anyone
Do you see
wants
it?
it. Well, the comments, did you get the comments?
I saw Gareth says.
What article are we? The one for?
For the zoning change?
Zoning, the zoning district changes, that's the one you're talking about?
400
Why
Summer
don't we
Street?
pass those down just in case? So, there were 2 of them, and my intent was basically to protect and to clean up. It was the water tanks on 400 Summer Street, and it was the new fields. And I contacted Jim Johnson and asked him if he could vet it ahead of time, so that we didn't waste a lot of time on it if it wasn't a good idea. And I didn't know if you had those comments, but I just passed out. But basically, based on the comments that came back, I'm not going to propose the water tanks on Summer Street, just because there was no problem with it, town council didn't have a problem with it, but if ever, Rick Mattson had the concern that if ever another tank was to be added, maybe there was a shadow of doubt it could be an issue. So I'm not trying to cause any issues, I'm trying to clean things up, so that's not my intent. So I'm not bringing forward 400 Summer Street, so you can just not look at that. The other one, it's very straightforward, very simple Town council agreed it was very straightforward and simple, and basically I'll read it. To see if the town will vote to change the zoning of land owned by the town of Walpole with an address of 2400 Main Street and identified by the assessor's map as Assessor's Map 55, Block 99, Lot 1, consisting of 63.73 acres plus or minus from our rural district to PSRC, Park, School, Recreation, and Conservation District, or do anything in relation thereto. So I think it's very straightforward. It's not in any way controversial, and I think the comments back that up. So that's what I'd like to bring forward.
So the red line is the abutters list line?
Yeah, so the map's not right. So I'll tell you, when I say the map's not right, the map is right as far as the red line. But the map will have to be modified to show the abutters. And in addition to that, it involves, as you can see, the abutter list goes well beyond. So it goes out of town a little bit.
Yeah, this is the map is gonna look similar to what they did for the South Walpole.
That's
property.
right.
Make sure it's to the right scale. There is specifics in there.
So I'd like to make a motion to bring that forward.
Okay. Does anybody need background on the Park School Recreation thing we have, or anybody understand where that came from?
I mean, I have questions on the article, but,
But how about on what Park School Recreation's about? Any questions on that? The
just
history?
about the district? No.
Okay, all right.
Jack, tell us the history.
They don't wanna hear it.
Well, you can go ahead, Jack. No, go ahead.
If it was 10 o'clock, Phil, you'd say no.
No, I might say yes. Yeah.
All it was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there were other towns that had similar stuff for their recreational areas. We're the only one that you're either residential or commercial, and that's what you know. So that's how this all developed. So at the time, we put a bunch together. All the schools, the fields, the golf course, and even all the public schools, which include all our schools and the Norfolk schools and that, Norfolk Aggie schools. So that's how this developed. All it was is identifying another area, because you look up and you'd see on your zoning map, and it's like, that's an industrial. I don't think it made a difference, but some people wanted to push it and make it sound cool, so that's how that happened. So I think Kate up on top of the hill at the $38 billion field that we have, wanted to kind of put it in the book. But you can't put a dome on it now with this, you know that.
I don't think a dome's a question, so I think we're safe.
So that's my
Yeah,
background, okay? So, all right. Sarah, you had a comment or question?
Sure. So I have a couple questions. So I'm wondering, Katie, if you could just talk about the, the reasons for the change and like explain the circumstances, you know, that led you to propose the change?
It's pretty straightforward. It's not zoned as what it is. And with all the attention that's been around the fields, you know, they're brand new, they're beautiful. We spent a whole lot of money on them. That's how it attracted my attention, and that's, basically, it's as simple as that. It's just calling a spade a spade.
Okay. So when I just like looked at the use table, and I saw very similar uses between, you know, the rural and the PSRC. So, but so if we're talking about specifically the fields, so one, I do have a question about spot zoning, that we just identify that one parcel and we want to change the zoning. And then I just wanted to know, like, what town recreation or planning goals does this change support? Or, you know, what question does it answer?
I think it's pretty straightforward. It's recreational use. That's the zoning classification we have. It should be zoned for what it is being used. And as far as the spot zoning, town council didn't think it was an issue.
Well, she said if she or he, I forget which one, town council replied, if we can show that it's consistent with our planning, then it wouldn't be an issue.
Which it is.
It is.
We get this all over town.
Well,
How could it not be consistent?
okay.
I mean, we built it as, we sought that property out at a very low rate, intending to make it fields. We got the funding and we made it fields. How could it not be? I mean, the intent's pretty clear, I think.
Yeah.
It was not intended to be used as anything else. That was the plan all along.
Okay. And do you know if there's any, like, current deed restrictions on that property?
Not that I'm aware of. That would interfere with this.
Yeah, so what, I took a look at the just recently, produced, the open space and recreational plan. And it talked about sites that are protected, like permanently protected, you know, limit protection, and then like no protection. And it said, a site is considered to be permanently protected if it's recorded in a deed or other official document. Or, if it's deeded and managed by local conservation commission or Parks and Recreation Department, and thereby subject to Article 97. And Article 97 is just Massachusetts law, like, you know, protecting these kind of properties. So I'm just wondering if it's already protected, if there's, I don't know, I guess I'm just struggling with, is it worth this change? That's all, so.
Well, I'll answer some of the things. First off, it's a deed restrictions for individual piece of property. This is, just because it's an individual piece, you don't deed restrict. This is a zoning change, so however the deed restriction comes. This originally was part of the prison. State gave it to us back in the 80s. So before it had a connotation of owned by the state. As far as bringing this forward, you didn't want to bring it forward until the town decide what they're gonna do with it. And I think we've all seen it, it's done. You got a couple fields there, so it's gonna be nothing else. So all you're trying to do is brand it just like the rest of the town.
Yeah, but when the town bought it from the state, wasn't it under condition that it be used, you know, for recreation, basically? So I think that protection is already there.
Yeah, but the protection's different than the zone. The zones, this is all the same as the rest of it. If you look at our maps, why would we have a field of 30-something acres that's still listed as industrial? And you go over to Johnson, you go to Bird, you go to the high school, you go to Ellis Field, you go Bird Park. And those are listed PSRC. That's what this is all about. You're bringing everything that is similar into the same zone.
So
Okay.
so the soccer fields on Myron Street, are those,
Yes.
they're the same?
I think those are,
Yeah.
The
those are.
soccer fields of My Lord, Bird
Yeah.
Park, Ellis
Adams
Field,
Farm.
Adams Farm, anywhere that we have open space recreation, including schools, is, and the country club, Walpole Country Club, and naturally the Aggie, all the way up to the Bubbling Brook. So it's a consistent, so all you're trying to do is make something consistent, that's all that we already have.
And if we were to get like a refreshment stand or these kind of
It's not an
commercial.
issue.
It's
Not an
not an
issue.
issue,
No.
okay,
That was one of Jim's concerns. He asked,
Okay.
you know, his first thought was toilets.
yeah,
He completely, I mean, he went to the building inspector, he went to Rick Mattson, he really vetted it, so. And I think the town council's first sentence says it all. These two articles are very straightforward. It's not anything sketchy, it's a field being used for recreation. It should be zoned as a field being used for recreation.
I was looking through the use table and the parks, schools, recreation, just to see what's allowed, and mostly it's either the administrative or agricultural uses. There are a few odd things that are allowed, I think, that are wrong. Garaging or maintaining on any premises of a total of not more than 3 motor vehicles, including not more than 1 commercial vehicle not in excess of 2-ton capacity, except in the case of public or agricultural use. And that's allowed by right in park, schools, and recreation. garaging or maintaining of more than 3 automobiles or more than 1 commercial vehicle, but only where in connection with a permitted main use on the same premises, except in the case of the main, that makes sense. And garaging or maintaining of a trailer or semi-trailer is defined in chapter 90, section 1 of the general laws, more than 15 feet in length, except for house trailers, motorhomes, or recreational trailers, and not more than 1 month in any consecutive 12-month period. That's allowed by right. That makes a little sense that there'll be parking trailers and stuff in the fields. But that's something that we looked at later. The most use, there's no commercial or business uses allowed in those sections.
So I think if we take a favorable vote tonight, it's a vote to sponsor it for the warrant. And so then it would have a public hearing and everything in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Move
town
forward,
council
move forward
had,
or whatever.
had noted, we would adjust the final form slightly
Okay.
to make sure they accomplish what is intended and are consistent with the town practice. For instance, indicate that the zoning map is being amended, but they are clear enough in their present form to move forward with the planning board. So it's not done in that we still need to get the map done, you know, everyone, it has to go to selectmen. Town council would adjust the final form and, obviously a butter's notified and have a hearing.
Yeah, so I think if the vote is to sponsor it to the warrant, you know, I think I would vote favorably to that, and just recognize that we'll still have the public hearing, you know, for
Absolutely.
people to provide comment and everything.
So we're doing just the fields one?
Just the fields, cause I don't wanna compromise
The water
the
tank.
water tank if ever they wanted to
It's
put
not
another
even,
one.
if you think about it, it's not even a park sewer recreation, let's just swim in the tank.
Yeah. Petticoat Junction.
I didn't write notes. I just
need-
lost my,
You need
so can I make a motion?
the Billy Joe, Bobby Joe, and
Yeah.
what's her name?
Yeah. Can I make a motion that
Okay,
we
just, I wanna
sponsor-
explain something.
Yep.
The reason we don't have the map, because it's like, we're asked to get a, saying we wanna do it. Once we say we wanna do it, then you get the map and
Right.
everything else together to give to the selectmen, like, and even like this was a private petition. So, can I make a motion?
I would like to make a motion, how do you want me to word it? You want me to read it?
Yeah.
I would like to make a motion to see if the town will vote to change the zoning of land owned by the town of Walpole with an address of 2400 Main Street and identified by the assessor's map 55, block 99, lot 1, consisting of 63.73 acres, plus or minus from our rural district to PSRC, Park, School, Recreation, and Conservation District, or do anything in relation thereto.
Okay, I'll second it. For discussion, any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so that's a vote to fields. Okay. Next item is the IZB Subcommittee Draft is on here, and we'll start with that.
Okay. Everyone have a copy?
Somewhere.
Are we moving forward?
Yeah, well, we're after that now. It's the last thing on the agenda, last two
Last
things
two
on the
items
agenda.
on the agenda.
Actually, there's one other thing on the
Based on
agenda,
town
too.
council's response, we're still moving forward?
What response?
What response?
Did you get the response
No,
and send it?
no, I don't think it.
We got an email? I don't know, let me see.
This one.
It went to you, but that's why I thought everything got it.
What are you looking for?
we got a town council. Hold on, I hope I have a copy. Did you not get that?
No, because I'm not at Liberty CS. That was my company, 2 companies before. So you got it, right?
Yeah.
So what is it?
It's, all right, let me send everyone.
Huh? What do you got?
Well, should I email it to everyone? What should I do?
No, read
Read
what
it?
you got. Yeah, because
It's long. Hi, Jim, we reviewed the attached at Lauren's request as explained in part below. In my opinion, this draft is seriously flawed and should not be advanced. If adopted by town meeting, in my opinion, it may not obtain Attorney General approval, and if passed there because it does not directly conflict with the state law, in my further opinion, it is too vague to be enforceable and will be vulnerable to legal challenge if applied. Number one, I understand that this bylaw is intended to provide for affordable housing, but it doesn't explicitly require affordable housing. Number two, the bylaw by its terms can be read to require a special permit for all multifamily dwelling unit projects with 10 or more dwelling units.
So just one clarification, if you don't mind. So I thought this
that's the
was
one of
about,
yours, right?
I thought this was about your,
Yeah, it is,
Oh,
right?
this is the
Yes.
wrong one.
yeah, this is about
Do
yours.
I not have it?
Yeah, so it's not about the one
Hold on.
from
You
the
already-
joint committee.
So it came through just today.
Oh, I haven't online today, so I haven't seen it.
Yeah, we did not get anything
Here it
else.
is.
that I know of.
I wonder what you're reading, because we killed that earlier.
All right, start over. Jim, you asked if the planning board may prevent the IZ zoning bylaw proposed for the 2021 annual Springtown meeting from being considered by town meeting if it does not vote to recommend the bylaw. I reviewed the IZ zoning bylaw being proposed for insertion or the warrant this year and compared it to the IZ zoning bylaw placed before the town meeting last year. I understand that the planning board did not favorably recommend the IZ bylaw last year and that the bylaw was voted down at town meeting. In light of my review and the prior action of town meeting and the planning board, in my opinion, it is possible that the town meeting vote to adopt the proposed IZ bylaw this year may be disapproved by the Attorney General or invalidated by a court on the grounds that town meeting is barred from considering that proposed bylaw within 2 years of town meeting's unfavorable vote on a substantially similar IZ bylaw. At the 2020 ASTM, following the planning board's unfavorable recommendation. Such a disapproval would be based on the similarity of the two bylaws, and on either the negative recommendation of the planning board or the version of the IZ bylaw placed before the 2020 annual Springtown meeting, or a negative planning board recommendation or the IZ bylaw proposed for insertion on the 2021 annual Springtown meeting warrant. Until such a disapproval or invalidation is made, if at all, in my opinion, the town is not prohibited from placing the proposed IZ bylaw on the 2021 ASTM warrant and voting on it, regardless of the planning board's recommendation. For the reasons set forth below, however, I recommend that to remove doubt as to the validity of town meeting action on the proposed IZ bylaw, the town not place the proposed IZ bylaw before town meeting until at least 2 years has passed since the 2020 ASTM voted negatively on substantially similar IZ bylaw. And then they go on to analyze. You want me to keep reading? It was from
Who did it?
Jonathan Eichman.
Who did it get sent to?
So Jack's right, it's not his email address.
I think the important thing to note on that is if the planning board does not vote to sponsor it, they outline,
No, they're
Some
saying
issues.
because they did not in the past year.
Yeah, because that's what I thought the
Asked the planning board.
stature was.
recommend.
if it does not vote to recommend the bylaw.
I reviewed.
Well,
So if we do vote to recommend the bylaw,
he,
In light of my
Then
review
we're
of the
okay.
prior town meeting,
no,
it is
he's,
my opinion,
okay. Read what he said very succinctly, don't put it forward.
done. That's
So
what
I
he said,
read it,
right?
yeah, I read it today several times, and that's what I came away with. I thought,
It's not what I came up with.
Well,
whereas
do you
the
have a copy?
planning board may prevent, you read it, read it. That's what I came up with. I thought it was pretty,
For reasons set forth, this is the last thing, I recommend to remove no doubt to the validity of town meeting action on the IZ law and the town not place the proposed IZ law before town meeting until at least 2 years have passed since the 2020 town meeting vote negatively on it. So he says, don't bring it up for 2 years. That's pretty clear.
you wanna pass it around?
Yeah.
I would've made copies, I would've emailed it.
I just
Didn't
read it
realize.
today, so I didn't have a chance to look at it.
Well, I assume Jack sent it out, but Jack didn't get it.
Get it if he
Either
sends it
way.
to Liberty CS. That was 2016.
So I think, previous town council's advice was that, because at the, because the planning board didn't, reject it at our public hearing, we referred back to committee. And so, if we make substantial changes, then the planning board is able to bring it forward to town meeting.
But that's what he's saying, is it's not,
He's saying, could there be an issue potentially, maybe, if somebody brings
that's not
it-
what I see in that.
Well, he read everything and he says he recommends not to bring it forward. That's how I take it. You can't get any clearer cut than that.
Yeah, so what it
Aga-
says here, let me
again.
read this very carefully. It says there's such a he's talking about the disapproval of the Attorney General. Such a disapproval would be based on the similarity of the two bylaws and on either the negative recommendation of the planning board on the version of the IZ bylaw placed before the 2020 annual spring meeting, or a negative planning board recommendation on the IZ bylaw proposed for insertion on the 2021 annual spring meeting warrant. Until such a disapproval or invalidation is made, if at all, in my opinion, the town is not prohibited from placing the proposed IZ bylaw on the 2021 annual spring town meeting warrant and voting on it, regardless of the planning board's recommendations. For the reasons set before, however, I recommend it to remove doubt.
So, the way I read that, we are free to discuss this bylaw, to vote on it, to vote to sponsor it. I think we can definitely make the case that there are material changes, that the objections and concerns raised before, including by me, have been remedied in this new bylaw, so it is substantially different. And that it would only go to town meeting if we can vote favorably on it tonight, so.
Well, yeah, don't even go with voting favorably tonight on it, because I'm not, I don't like the way that, I'll say it right now, I don't like the way I've been ambushed by this. You've had 6 months to tell us, and now you come up with the last week and say, we want you to sponsor it. I don't
The
play those games.
intention all
No,
along.
don't sit there and scratch your head. Nobody ever said they wanted us
So I
to
don't think.
sponsor it. That is 100% fact.
You have said that you don't like the way the selectmen are dictating zoning to us.
What did I just say? Did anybody ask us to sponsor this up until the other day?
The whole
Yes or no?
idea,
Yes or no? It's a simple question.
the whole idea from the
Yes or no?
beginning,
All I want is a yes or no. This staying
But
hard.
before we
Jack,
even,
it was understood.
so
Yeah,
It
let's,
was understood. Okay.
The reason for the joint committee,
Who
which
would
was
you
the
imagine would
planning-
sponsor it?
the planning board and
The same people
had
who
two
sponsored
members.
the original one.
Yep.
so
But it
let's,
doesn't matter.
let's go
I
back
think-
to the the
I
letter.
think I just want to come back to the letter, yeah,
So when we go back to the letter, so he says,
yeah, so
it's pretty clear. Yes, he says, sure you can, and then he says, in the end,
the issue,
I recommend that you don't. He
Yeah, so-
says it clearly.
the issue appears to be that it's ambiguous
Recommend.
whether the,
He says
He's lawyering.
the town
He's
does
saying
not
yes
place
and
the
saying no.
proposed
Yeah, he's
IZB.
saying, but you can't go any wrong. Basically, you can't go wrong, at least go into the next step. If
Exactly.
we don't do the next step, then we
Exactly.
Now, I'm
can't do
gonna
anything.
stop for a
I
minute.
disagree.
We're not
On
gonna get
Katie's
anywhere if we
10%
don't
article,
go.
you guys were right on board with what the town council said. We gotta go by what he said. Can't sponsor hers. But when it doesn't go your way, town council's wrong. That's what I'm getting out of this.
Katie withdrew her article.
Because you were all over it, the fact that it wasn't working,
No, I didn't no, so wait, stop.
because it went to the town
Stop,
council. No, no,
okay.
no, no, we
But
had,
that's a whole nother
Let
discussion that we
Katie-
should get into.
okay, it doesn't matter.
No, I mean the.
You can put it to a
I
vote,
mean
but-
the Facebook calling out all that
I'm not even the Facebook, I
baloney.
don't
But
do
that's a whole nother
Facebook, so I
day
don't
and a
know.
whole nother discussion, so.
Okay, but what we have here
With that being
is,
said, it clearly says, I was all ready to talk about this until I read this today. And because it clearly says, for the reasons set forth below, I recommend that to remove doubt as to the validity of the town meeting action on the proposed IZ bylaw, the town not place the proposed IZ bylaw before town meeting until at least 2 years has passed since the 2020 ASTM voted negative. You can't twist what he said there. There's no
Why
way.
is he saying AS?
Yeah, no, he did say that. So, and the reason,
He
Annual.
did say that.
Annual
yeah,
fall.
yeah, he had that,
Should
that's,
be.
yeah,
I mean, he's blatantly
ASTMs.
saying,
something to do with
he's
Steel.
telling us, do not.
American
Annual
Society.
spring town meeting.
the legal issue seems to be his interpretation of the Mass General Law 40A, Section 5, where it says unless the adoption of such proposed ordinance or bylaw is recommended in the final report of the planning board. His interpretation of that is it could either mean the original vote, that is the vote that we took last fall,
Yeah.
or the new vote, and that would be the point of contention.
Which last fall, we didn't give an unfavorable vote. We sent it to committee.
What did he say is his recommendation?
At town meeting.
When you ask an opinion, they give you all the gobbledygook, and
Yeah.
the last thing you always read is that,
The only risk we take, which is not even a risk, is that somehow we recommend favorably, okay? We have the public hearing, we go to town meeting votes to approve it.
I think that's ludicrous. that
Then we go
when
to
I
the
brought it
AG,
forward-
and somehow the AG, whose responsibility is to make sure that, you know, these articles don't conflict with Massachusetts law,
John, read
okay?
it.
Check, doesn't conflict, or that, it's subject to an unfavorable vote from the planning board, which I'm hoping tonight, we're gonna discuss it and get to a favorable recommendation at the public hearing.
I think it's very funny that there is a double standard. I think it's very funny that when I bring something forward, first of all, I get ripped apart, and second of all, we go to town council comes back with negative comments, and I'm a big enough person to pull it back and say, it's not ready. He was more blatant, this was blatant, he says it twice, at the end, he again says, he says, I recommend that the town delay consideration of a new IZ bylaw in essentially the form I reviewed until 2 years have passed from the vote. So he says it twice in he's blatantly saying, he's recommending, he's the town council that we go to and we rely on, and he's blatantly recommending twice that we do not do it. He says it straight out twice. But yet, when they gave comments on mine, and I probably could have fixed it or done something, I read the comments and said, no, you should do it right. You're not gonna go ahead and screw things up. You go by what town council says, but when town council says something you guys don't like, then all of a sudden, oh no, we shouldn't listen to him. What? Like, really? I don't understand that. He says it twice blatantly. Sure, this is the worst situation we could be in, because mine's gone, and based on town council, this one's gone. So we're right back where we started, we've got nothing. And that's just fantastic that
We
we get
don't
to
have
sit
to have
here.
nothing.
We
We
do.
will only
He
have
says
nothing
it
if
twice.
this board refuses to let it go forward.
So we're supposed to just ignore town council?
A previous town council recommended something
previous, do you
conflicting.
have that?
They did
You-
not
you- no,
review
what
the
previous,
current
Sarah? You're
form.
speaking out of like you, where is this?
Same
And
I
besides,
I wish I had it in
same
writing.
corporation though.
But he reviewed the
doesn't
most current
He-
article.
He did,
He reviewed.
the question was put to town council, if this, this article gets a unfavorable recommendation to town meeting by the planning board, can it go to town meeting? He said, okay, if it gets an unfavorable recommendation, you're going to have a problem, okay? If it gets a favorable recommendation, it's free to proceed.
That's not what he said. He said twice clearly, don't put it down until 2 years. He said it clearly twice.
he recommends not to. Now, he's a lawyer, he's paid for his advice, you can either take it or you can't. So his recommendation, so if you wanna go in front of town meeting and say, yeah, we wanna do this, and then someone says, what did town council say, not to do it? I guess the bigger question is,
I'll do that.
well, if this committee did so wonderful, how come this wasn't sent to town council like Katie took it upon herself to do it? Why wasn't it sent there?
It-
Why was it sent there for review and everything else? Doesn't seem like it.
How can we send it to
I
town
don't even
council
think
when
we
we don't
need
have
to
a
get into
sponsor?
all of that. We don't need to argue and get into all of
No,
that.
no, what sponsor, oh, so.
The
what we were
Katie's
gonna-
article was sent
what
after
we
the
were gonna do
planning
here
board
tonight, you want
voted
us tonight-
favorably to
You want
sponsor
us
it.
tonight to vote, to send this to the selectmen, because the warrant closes Tuesday, and say, but without town council's review. That isn't the way you do it.
Town
I
council will
think-
review it if and
You already reviewed
when.
it.
Council did
You
review
It's
it.
done. All
Town
right.
council was asked to review, can this article move forward with an unfavorable vote
Okay.
at the planning board?
He made his recommendation at the end. I recommend not to go forward. So. Anybody wanna make a motion? Because we're just gonna go around in circles.
I'd like
I'll
to
make a
finish
motion
reading
that
Well,
this.
we need to discuss the article.
I'd like to finish
There's
reading
nothing-
this first before I do.
Okay.
I'm sorry, John, what's your recommendation?
I wanna finish reading it.
Oh, okay. Sounds important.
I just want to say that I want to applaud the joint committee, and particularly John and Sarah, who are the planning board members, coming together. I think they did an outstanding job in really addressing a lot of the issues that came up at the last trial we had to get this passed, the hearings. I think as Andrew said in his memo, you know, nobody got everything they wanted, but they came up with something that was really, I think, addressed most of the major problems. I think when we went into this with the joint committee, just, from the comments that were made by each of us at the hearing, there was an intent to get an inclusionary zoning bylaw passed, I think by most of the board, if not all. There were those issues that came up, and I think the whole premise of having the joint committee was that if the committee could tackle and could come up with an alternate text that addressed those issues, then this board could easily, hopefully, accept it, and I think we're there. Now, I think as far as what the lawyer said, the issue really comes up in the interpretation of one clause in chapter 40A, and I guess I would be interested in maybe asking additional legal counsel for, how their interpretation is. So it really, it looks to me like a very ambiguous line. Now, whether that's would cause us a problem or not, I don't know, but it's very clear that it says that, oops, I just lost my place here. No proposed zoning ordinance or bylaw which has been unfavorably acted upon by a city council or town meeting shall be considered by the city council or town meeting within 2 years after the date of such unfavorable action, unless the adoption of such proposed ordinance or bylaw is recommended in the final report of the planning board. Now, I would read that to be the current proposal, not the first one. But
Right, so if we
And that-
vote favorably,
Yeah,
and
if
we
do
also
tonight,
really
then that
need
would
to
be the
consider
key.
what inaction means. Like, town meeting, residents want us to come up with a workable inclusionary zoning. And to just say, oh, town council said maybe there might be something if you have an unfavorable action,
They
not
didn't
saying
say
if there is a
that.
favorable action. The whole question was, can it go forward to town meeting with an unfavorable action to planning board? So, we can decide to vote favorably, and it moves on its merry way.
Well, I guess when you wanna do things and the rules don't matter, and you wanna change the entire town zoning, and you can't even get this right, what's in it, that's how bad is the rest of it?
Don't wanna change the entire town zoning.
This will change the entire town zone. That's what it's all about. The most massive change we've had in umpteen years, and we can't even get the town council to say it's good to go. So,
Not true.
Well, the problem
is
with
true.
town council has nothing to do with the text of the
The
article.
problem with town
It's-
council,
it's-
didn't give you the answer you wanted. So, and I will comment, is it said, it doesn't say the planning board sponsor a report. When we have the public hearing, we give the report.
Right, but it's not going to get to that point
But
unless
we
we
can't give a
recommend.
report based upon us sponsoring it. It would have to come from somebody else.
We need to sponsor it,
We don't.
hold
need
the
to
public
sponsor it.
hearing, and then vote.
Okay, can I ask, can
So-
someone explain to me when I was informed that we were gonna sponsor this?
It's not even relevant. He says,
I know none of this is
it's
relevant.
all getting twisted. If you read it and reread it and reread it, the more I read it, it's substantially similar. I mean, he's pointing it all out.
You must have read, you read the
And
whole
he
thing.
clearly says twice no. I mean,
It's very much not
whether it be
substantial.
this or something else, I want
Okay.
something in
Then
place.
why do we even bother going to town council if we're not gonna listen to him? Okay, that's what it comes down to. So we never should have sent in the first place. So let's not listen to town council, let's listen to what we know about the law, and we'll go forward with that and do what we want.
There's absolutely nothing that prevents us from sponsoring this article on the warrant,
In your opinion,
in my opinion.
and we have a legal opinion, so, it's a little difference.
The legal opinion says if the planning board,
Okay, we have a legal opinion that
Says more than
recommended,
that.
so, we,
we have, Pat DeShane's here. I wonder if,
this is our discussion.
okay.
It's not on, this is a discussion on the planning board, it's not an open forum, that's the way it's written, so. Anyway, that's where we are.
So anyone voting to not sponsor it is voting for inaction. Voting to throw up our hands and say, nope, planning board, we don't wanna,
Oh,
we don't
boy,
wanna
no,
do
here we go,
anything.
we're getting
in
into
place
that,
that's
oh,
not
woe
proper.
is me.
I'm-
You're just putting words in our mouths, like
Yeah,
we're against
that's-
it. We're
this
against
is-
it, how about getting it right?
It is right.
Your opinion, not per the people who go to law school, take a test, become lawyers, and work for firms, who deal with this day in and day out. Eichmann is their attorney in this field, so this is his specialty. He's not like the podiatrist of the lawyer
Yeah, no, it
world.
certainly throws a monkey wrench into things. The
A
question is
couple of
whether
questions.
we still
I'm not
wanna
sure
try
whether-
to see if we can't get this
If I
done.
recall
mean, at
right,
the worst case, we
We
would not.
voted on the first IZB fall 2020, is that right? Okay,
Correct,
so
yeah.
His comment of spring is correct, okay. By my reading of it, it's unclear at their end whether the previous refusal of acceptance or the second one will take priority. Nothing has been decided yet. In their opinion, it isn't a question of which one got, didn't get approval by the planning board, whether it was the previous one which didn't get approval, was sent back. So, it is town council's opinion here, in my reading, that because the two, even though the two are different, they are not substantially different, they're serving the same purpose, we have to wait the 2 years. Now, on a secondary note, I specifically was talking during the IZB meetings, I had never recommended that the planning board support, what's the term, sponsor this article. Yes, I felt the planning board should listen to this article and give it approval. But sponsoring the article was never my intention, nor did I think it was the intention of the majority of the board.
John, why would the planning board not sponsor the article? What's your
Because it was
rationale?
brought forward by the Housing Partnership and the Board of Selectmen. So it was, I feel it's their responsibility to bring it forward again. But with this reading here, it seems like our town council is recommending a 2-year delay. It's unfortunate, but I think that's the way I read it anyways. I would have preferred to go forward and see what happens with it.
I think it
This
all
is a-
comes down to this interpretation of whether, when the law says that unless the adoption of such proposed ordinance or bylaw is recommended in the final report of the planning board. So that's the question of whether it was for the original, last
Right,
town meeting or
The
this
town
one.
council is saying it
And-
isn't clear which is, and it hasn't been settled.
Yeah, no, although I did think that at some
But
point.
it
So
is
let's
his
make history.
recommendation, and we're paying him lots of money
Yeah,
to
no.
provide legal counsel.
Yeah, so I think
And
one
I gotta
option, I mean, I
his
think definitely it
better
throws a monkey
understanding.
wrench. I do think the articles are very similar. I guess I would probably agree with that reading, but I
I
think
suppose
that,
it would give us more time
think
to
the-
even
but if we
better
don't,
fine tune the article,
but
but
the reason for voting on it tonight is so that it gives us a little time to maybe do the next step, because I thought it was mentioned by other legal counsel that we could come back this year.
That was
if-
my understanding, yeah.
So I'm
If a
not trying
different
to.
board sponsors it, and if there are significant changes, which there are, it takes out subdivisions completely, takes out housing trusts completely, it takes out payment in lieu completely, it changes the special permitting granting authority, it gives an increase of allowable floor area in the central business district and the business
my
district.
thought
There are
is-
substantial changes. Those changes reflect the
are
concerns
changing,
raised.
but then I'm not the lawyer. We're paying the lawyer to provide legal counsel. So
Yeah,
if you
I'm not as
ask the lawyer
convinced
for
of
legal
that,
counsel,
I'm not
you
convinced that it's
listen
not
to
somewhat the
them.
same. I think just reading the legal, I would be more on the area of the interpretation of whether, the fact that if we approve it tonight,
yeah, it's just
or
a mess.
not tonight, but if the planning board at its hearing in the future,
Yeah,
Which
I think
improvement if
that's
that
the
would-
question for town
would-
council.
that would.
If the planning board recommends it in its final report to town meeting, does town council see an issue with this being approved by the Attorney General?
And my reading of it is, yes, he does
Yes.
have
Yeah,
an
so this council does
It
say
says
that.
they're too
there's an
similar.
issue with it.
It says if recommended unfavorably.
Yes, but in his write-up, he says.
If not
He
approved.
interprets unfavorable at the ambiguity of the law, not saying very clearly which
And it was
which
voted
planning board
unfavorable
vote
at the town
was
meeting.
unfavorable. So I think that's what we would like to have
But
clarification
refer
on.
back to committee, is that officially an unfavorable
Um,
vote?
That would be another question. That's why we should go forward with it,
Yes.
just to kind of give the if we don't, so give the option
Unfortunately, when it was
to
referred
clarify
back to
those
committee,
things, so,
They just pushed it forward again.
so what?
When it was referred back to committee, they just pushed it forward.
That was just our final
Yeah.
report.
Yeah.
So it
So
still
is that
had,
I'm sorry, I want something in place more
Yeah,
than
so I
anyone,
think it
that's
says
why I
is
came up
record.
with my bylaw.
So I think-
So that if this didn't come forward, because I didn't know if this was coming forward in time. But I can't vote for something that blatantly says twice, I recommend. that to remove doubt as the validity of town meeting action on the proposed IZB bylaw, the town not place the proposed IZ bylaw before town meeting until at least 2 years has passed. And then he says, and the similarities between the two IZ bylaws I reviewed, I recommend that the town delay consideration of a new IZ bylaw in essentially the form I reviewed until 2 years have passed. So,
Yeah, no, it's
I
very
mean,
clear. what he's saying.
he's blatantly saying it. How can we not, how can we go against that? I don't understand how we can vote against that.
The vote tonight is a vote to sponsor the article to the warrant.
And he's telling us not to. So how can we go against that?
From now until the public hearing, we can ask for clarification from town council. And then based on that clarification, we can vote accordingly at the public
And
hearing.
either withdraw it or keep going
Yeah,
forward with it. That
exactly.
way, if we don't do anything, then we don't have that option.
And then it's lost.
Yeah.
And then all the work done, and all the goodwill, and the good faith effort by the planning board, by the housing partnership, by the ZBA, by the select board, by the people of town meeting who asked us to make it better, who said they were, you know, it was whatever it was, 58% voted to, you know, approve an inclusionary zoning. But there was concerns. So we've addressed those concerns.
It's not lost. He's saying we can't do it now. He's not saying you can't.
This is it. Tonight is it.
Why?
Either we vote to sponsor it or it dies.
Why?
No, it just, there's
Why
delay.
does it
Warrant
have
is
to
closing
die?
next Tuesday.
It can't,
It doesn't go forward in the fall. but
Right.
It doesn't mean it doesn't, we don't bring it back again.
why does it
in the
have
2
to
years.
die?
It-
He's
it-
saying
it dies for all
can't
effective
go-
purposes until the next, until the next town meeting. And most likely unnecessarily.
I make a motion.
Well, before you do,
Oh, okay.
I would like to, you guys have, when I get pushed in the corner, I push way back, and that's what you've done tonight with the planning board and your Facebook and everything else, Sarah, that we're the bad guys if we don't say, yes, it's wonderful. We have never received 1 minute meeting notes from your board. You've never informed us all the time since May what's going on. You've never given us anything up until a week and a half ago. It says, we want you to sponsor this and just do it because we want you to do it, and you got no say in it. Just take that piece of paper and say, yes, we'll sponsor it. That's what you've asked us, isn't it?
No, again, it's
No,
been my
Have
understanding
you
all
furnished us with
along.
any information from any of your meetings? Have you updated us at all during any of your meetings? What's going on?
John and I have mentioned the
Have-
progress of the IZB
No, no one's ever
committee.
come back. The first time I ever seen
We've
this was
talked
that
about
first
things
piece
that
of
we're
paper.
changing,
I asked,
how we look,
right?
how we are looking
I
at
asked questions.
subdivisions,
No, we
maybe
got no-
taking
That
it
was how it
out.
came.
Why wasn't it at the start of this whole group? Why wasn't it said, we want the planning board to sponsor it? Why was it wait to the last minute? And why does it have to be? I agree with John. John is 100% right. Why wasn't this sponsored by the
At
housing
first you
partnership, by the
said,
selectmen?
at first you said, Mr. Chair, that ZBA wasn't involved and we gotta know what they're doing. We gotta know what they're thinking. We've gotta have them involved and we shouldn't be doing this. And the select board, they're telling us about zoning and we should be involved.
I didn't say
So
that.
we got a joint committee of planning board, ZBA, and housing partnership. And so we worked together, we compromised, we negotiated, we offered suggestions to each other. And we've come up with this, and it's like, you keep moving the goalposts.
I haven't moved the goalpost. You said to me,
Town
I
council
want
is the one
you
who said
to
it.
sponsor it tonight, and here you go. Here's
I'm
what you want.
asking this
Pass
board
it.
to
Say
sponsor
yes,
it.
it's
But I think-
lovely.
The
we need
board
to-
in charge of planning and zoning of this
Planning
town.
and zoning, according to Mass General Law and Site Plan. Walpole Housing Partnership, who's been appointed by the selectmen, is in charge of this.
They are not in
Ultimately-
charge.
They're in
of zoning.
charge of affordable housing. That's their goal. They
They're
keep
not in
referring to
charge of
housing.
zoning.
But ultimately, the planning board has a responsibility for the zoning bylaws.
No,
Only
no, we
the-
don't, no.
Yes, we do. It's right in our, it's right in.
Yeah, for the zoning, to make sure the book's proper, but it's not, when it's not up to us to do affordable, because that's the charge of a different group. Does it
It's
say
up
planning
to-
board and affordable housing?
Where does it
It's
say
up
that?
to us
Where
to
does it say that?
suggest and
Where does it say-
evaluate potential
I
zoning
just want to bring
articles.
everything back to one thing, though. You know, we may have a lot of feelings on some of this, but let's look at what is best for the town. So we're at right now, we have a situation where we have a little glitch.
And
on-
Phil, don't
Yeah.
even compromise, say it's a little glitch. You have major league problem where you have, your town council said,
Yep,
don't bring
and
it
that is-
forward, and this will be bounced out by the Attorney General because you should have waited the 2 years.
And I think all we want to do is let's give us more time,
And the-
let's go forward.
You can't change this. This goes on the warrant like this, it's done. There's no, once you, if our board voted tonight, it goes
Yeah.
down there for Tuesday, they accept it, that thing can't be changed, it's over. There
We
is
can
no.
withdraw it at the public hearing, should we receive clarification from town council.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, I've been doing this a long time. I'm not putting my name to anything where you have town council say recommends against it. Why would I go against their recommendation? I have never done this. I've said it to all the applicants. If we get something from our engineering or our fire chief, police, or town council, they're our people, we have to support them. And that's where I'm standing. So that's what he said. Don't go forward. It's unfortunate this question wasn't asked at the very start of your group, but it didn't. Because then you probably could have redone something that would have, he could have recommended how it wouldn't be the same or something similar, but it didn't get asked, so. That's where we are right now.
We made changes that I considered it a change. We had took things out that weren't
Significant change.
in the original one.
You consider it
But-
major changes, John?
Well, I thought we had made substantial changes.
Changes,
But again, I'm not the person who's gonna rule on that,
Yeah.
so I can't.
I think taking out subdivisions was a huge change.
Again, I think there's gotta be some ways of fixing that so something in that nature can be included into it. So maybe it's more research of what isn't allowed for a subdivision and what we
Right, can I see
can
his,
to build subdivisions back into the law again.
I just see it again, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm gonna forward that email to everyone right now so that
Don't mind, thank you.
Let's see how far we can get it, just I was studying up all day, so.
I hate sending stuff from my phone.
It's too small.
Yeah, it is a.
side note, how was Florida, Sarah?
Florida, I went to California.
Oh, wrong Disney.
Yeah, Disney World, Disneyland, I don't know which one it was, but whatever the one in California, that's where I was.
Probably, oh,
I called in from Disneyland to take my vote on this IZB.
so you didn't have tropical storms, you just had smoke and smoke.
No, well, actually, where I was, it was
Yeah.
beautiful, perfect, yeah, great weather.
Yeah, it's definitely a blow for the legal opinion. There's no doubt about that. I mean,
Also, we should, in the opinion of Katie's article, I thought it was recommended that we proceed modifying what town meeting had considered previously. Let me get that.
yeah, no,
Where does it
that's
say
right.
that?
Same lawyer.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
what it-
after that.
That's what it says.
It's town council, yeah, but I think
It's the
from a
same
different.
lawyer.
Oh,
It's
yes,
Jonathan
it is,
Eichman.
yeah. I recommend the town use similar,
Yeah.
that or a similar draft in creating an affordable housing bylaw.
And then after he read the new bylaw, apparently he changed his mind.
Well, I'm not sure whether he meant that
Regarding yours, it said there was.
for this town meeting or another town
No,
meeting.
he gave the problems
He's
with
just saying
mine.
that.
Yeah,
But then
in the
at the end,
future.
If
he
you're
like
in the
made a
future, if you're gonna
fluffy
do it,
comment
The
that
one you should go to
there
was
had
the
been
one
an article
you did last year.
that had come forward before that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And maybe you should work on that one. So
And then he says that, that's weird.
probably because he
Yeah.
is talking about the 2-year time frame. Like he didn't specify a time frame in the comment he made on mine.
Yeah.
And that seems to be his hitch, is the time frame.
Yeah, no,
That's the blatant hitch. There's no vagueness about that part of it.
I mean, what he says is it's not settled law. That's what he says. So there's a
So there's a hitch.
there's a risk. I mean, I think the
So-
reason why we're pushing to go forward with it, because we do want to, first of all, a lot of good work was done on this. It's a really good
Make it-
compromise.
Make it
And
right, make
we
it
wanna
so
get
it's
this
gonna stand up.
as soon as we can, because we wanna get the benefits of it.
Because the projects keep coming.
Mm.
You have another one right now, right? So,
I'm curious how they're gonna market those. Individual
So everything I read is following a negative planning board recommendation. So if we vote favorably, there's no negative planning board recommendation.
no, but he says it's ambiguous what negative, the negative,
Whether it's the,
Yeah,
a new
whether it's from
negative
this
or an
year or
old
last
negative,
year.
yeah.
and it doesn't say negative, actually it says is recommended in the final.
Yeah.
So it's not that the board did
Yeah,
negative, it has to have recommended it.
right, but I mean, the way I see it, we did, what we should have done, right? So as a planning board, we identified issues with the zoning.
Oh, yeah,
We
no,
sent
there's
it
no
to
doubt.
committee, we got it better.
Yeah.
The planning board sponsors
It's
it,
more this one
ideally,
legal,
and
it's more this one legal issue.
makes a favorable recommendation, goes to town meeting, approved by Attorney General.
But you can't deny what his legal opinion is. And
Well,
I think we should still go forward with it, but I also feel we need to acknowledge that it's a very clear-cut legal opinion. And it's based on his, looking at, section 5 of 40A, and particular sentence that.
unless it's been recommended in the final report of the planning board.
Board.
So that has
But-
yet to happen.
But then
This-
he goes on to say, the ambiguity
Yeah.
is whether it's It has to be the first year or the second year,
No,
and that's what he's challenging. Again, I'm only just saying what he says,
yeah.
and I feel we need to acknowledge that that's what he said.
Okay,
know, whether we
it
wanna-
is a question.
Yeah,
I
so
just,
I
don't wanna
I
have this
don't-
board do another
Yeah, I don't.
inaction.
I think we could I think we could go forward, but I think we need to recognize that that's what the
Sure.
issue is.
We need to ask the
And
question.
I think we could pursue this and maybe continue, go back to him, consult with other legal counsel in their practice to just have that discussion. What he's looking at the risk is, being sued, there's some, it's not just,
Well, I think really just whether the Attorney General would reject it or not.
True,
Well, then you
or,
mentioned
or
legal
someone
action.
would argue it in court. and
court,
bring it
yeah,
to-
where he goes in here talking about,
To the town saying, well, this doesn't stand up, you already refused this, you can't justify putting it on the board, on the books now.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
unfortunately,
It
there
does
was
open
one
up
case
areas, but
that,
it's,
that case was
That didn't go- that did
referred
not
to a
go-
change that was almost exactly the
did
same.
not go to the appeals
Just
court.
carved up.
Yeah, so he
right,
ruled.
so it hasn't been appealed yet.
Yeah, so he ruled that he thought it was the same, and that's a legal opinion.
Yeah.
But I feel we can't not deny we have this legal opinion in front
Sure,
of us.
there's a question.
And it raised a lot of questions. So I do think, though, that there's little harm for us going forward, giving us some time to take another look at this and consult. I would go back to the attorney and
Mhm.
pursue with him and maybe look at other places to go for.
And the other attorney
This is a little
previously,
different
which-
than I think what we understood, or what we thought we understood at last town meeting. I thought that did come up too at the meeting where it was asked, so here we are, but I think we should, I guess I would make just so that we can move forward, I would make a motion that the planning board tonight, sponsor this article on town meeting, for town meeting, for a fall town meeting.
Based on the same reason I pulled my article, there's no way I can support that when town council blatantly says twice, do not bring it before town meeting. I just, how can I ethically, personally do that? I don't understand the picking pieces here and there out. He blatantly says it
Yeah, no, I don't think we can
twice.
argue that. I mean,
It's not a situation of if we want it. It's not even a question. There's no question. We all know. We need something in place. There's no question. But are you going to put something in place that's wrong? Are you better off putting something in place that's wrong just so that you, and when I say wrong, I'm not saying that the draft that is before us is wrong. I'm saying he says it's not proper to put it in place right now. So how can we put something in place that is not legally correct? How can we endorse
so-
that?
well, I think it's all around, like I said, it's all around, in section 5, and what he says here is that,
But Phil,
until this case, the Penn case came forward, it was municipalities generally understood the planning board recommendation on the second bylaw to control for purposes of applying section 5, which is the sixth paragraph. So in other words, up to this new case where the court ruled that.
right, but that's where we stand right now with the new case.
But he goes on to say that, unfortunately, that did not come before, an appeals board, therefore there was no, it did not really get settled, and that's what we're. so that
But
would
with
be-
the current litigious nature of our economy and the number of cases that we've had to deal with in town already concerning zoning, I don't think it's a good risk at this point to just add another factor for someone to sue the town on. We've had people who have made it their point that they're quite willing to sue the town.
Yeah, no, and that's a valid point too, John. Yeah,
His recommendation was not to go forward. If there was another way, he would have recommended it, and he didn't. His final thing is, just don't go forward. He didn't give you any other, avenues, didn't tell you, hey, maybe you could do this, or maybe you could do that. No, he said in the final light of it, forget it, don't come forward.
And he did the same exact thing with me. Like, he didn't give avenues. So I don't know if that's something they don't do, but I mean, they just say yes or no and what their reason is.
Any comment from the audience? Question from the audience, Jack?
No, because this is our own discussion, and that's the way it has to be. It's no different than a selectmen's meeting. You're not allowed, you either come to open forum, you have an appointment, and this is not on our agenda for discussion, because if one got and someone else knew they couldn't come and they weren't here, they could say that you violated the open meeting law.
Okay.
So Phil, did you finish making your motion
I had made a motion, but,
for favorable, I'll recommend to the town, to the board? Okay, I'll second that, but, take a vote and then make a new motion.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Yeah, Phil made a motion for the
repeat it,
planning board
please?
to sponsor the article.
Okay.
I seconded.
Okay. Discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Aye.
No.
So, 2 to 3.
So do we have, any ideas on the future? So again, it was my understanding that this joint committee was going to be the answer that the planning board was asking for.
I think
So-
I made progress on that, yeah.
Right, so let's have a discussion, because I was very surprised to hear you say, John, that you didn't think planning board should sponsor.
I've,
You already said in the
I've made that
email
clear
to you.
from the beginning.
Well, not quite the beginning, but in the middle, but I was very surprised to hear that. So in your view, the select board is gonna propose a zoning change after the 2 years. That's what you think is prudent.
Select board or the housing partnership.
Housing partnership cannot propose an article.
Or they can go through the
Anyone
selectmen.
can propose an article.
So the select board, so again, we're asking the select board to propose zoning to the planning board.
Not to the planning board, to the
Because it
To the
was
town.
brought up, because it started with the housing partnership and was their baby, so to speak, I feel it's appropriate that they continue to be the person bringing it forward.
I obviously disagree, but, okay.
I just
Vivian,
wanna
is
say,
that-
I really feel strongly that no, it isn't the end. Like, we can't just roll over. Something has to be done. Just because, yes, you get knocked down. It's frustrating, no question. It's frustrating. But there's nothing more frustrating than sitting here and having to allow them
Yeah,
to not put any affordable in. And to ask, and to have them just say, no, there's nothing, I can't tell you the feeling I had when that happened. And there's nothing more frustrating. So I know this, I don't know, I guess this is my attempt at a pep talk, but it is not dead. We can't let it be dead. Like, it's just a situation of, we can't do this right here, right now. We've been told that by the lawyer. We can't ignore what the lawyer's saying, but we can't also just say, okay, we'll walk away and not do anything ever. So,
but I think
and I
we have-
don't
we
think
do
at
have
10
this-
o'clock tonight, after hearing all the hearings we've had, it's the time to figure out what we do. But what I'm trying to say is, I can't accept that we just say, it's all dead. That's not okay. Something has to happen.
Well, I think the majority of this board is saying that they want the select board to come back with a zoning article.
No, it's a housing partnership, that's their job.
I didn't say that.
To create affordable housing and part of their housing production plan. It doesn't lie within
But-
just because we own the zoning book doesn't mean we own that.
But I think, first of all, we formed this joint committee because we really wanted to have all the boards work together, so we would come up with something that would be
Then
more
how come-
acceptable.
Well,
and-
there was supposed to be someone from the selectmen on it, but no one ever showed, correct?
No.
No, I don't believe anyone was ever supposed to be there.
No, they said
We
one
never,
could
we never
come.
said the select
Oh.
board.
No,
No.
they
only-
did, they said they may have a representative, but they never, so.
We didn't, no, it was,
I
it was
don't
the, I was the
recall.
one who made that motion, it was the zoning board of
If you go
appeals,
back and read
housing
it, but it
partnership,
just
and
doesn't
planning
show
board.
much on their part that they were that
That's it.
interested.
Well,
They
but-
generally don't have much knowledge about zoning.
It's not,
Yeah, they're not,
yeah, but it's
That would be
still,
us.
it's the housing partnership to create their goals, and with the selectmen on it, what do we? We have a part-time secretary, that's all we have. The selectmen have the town administrator and everyone else at their fingertips. Did you guys have the ability for that? You didn't. No, you had to do it all yourself. When you have a selectman there, they can pull in the big guns or the outside people to help you, so, kinda left you stranded. But, I make a motion to adjourn?
Jack, I had,
Yeah.
go ahead, Phil, I have
Oh.
one question too.
yeah, I just wanted to make a mention that I wanted to put something on the agenda for next
I'll
meeting.
take one just in case.
Yeah, just let me
Take a
know.
few, I have a
okay.
whole
More
heap of
than
bowl
ahead
on
of
my
time,
kitchen
whatever you wanna
table.
put on,
Yeah.
just
Kids
send it
take
to 'em.
in.
And I'll mention it real quickly what it is. I want, I won't bother.
Nah,
Okay.
no, we don't wanna get into that.
Okay.
Phil. All you
I will
do
send
is,
an
as
email
long
to-
as you,
I will
because
send an
this
email to
time I
you.
got jammed, I had Sarah's stuff, I had Katie, I
And
had
if it's any
Katie.
consolation, my 2 articles that I brought forward at this meeting, I asked for last meeting, and he said no.
No,
So,
we had a
if that makes
discussion.
anyone feel any
No,
better.
no, no,
No,
I-
I
Because it
had
was full.
discussion was to do
It
them
was
in
the same reason, he
in the-
said
in
it's
the
too
spring.
full.
But, as long as you tell us what you
I'll send
got,
an email, yeah.
but what you wanna, if you get back up to it, so we know what's going in,
Yeah.
that's all.
Just,
We
just a
don't wanna
quick,
come in cold, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yes,
just a quick question. When we were talking about the master plan and the representatives and stuff, did we
Yeah.
set a deadline?
no, what was said for deadline is, I think what I had said is, because I guess they do it through the selectmen, how they advertise,
Uh-huh,
we should see what they have for a deadline.
okay.
Oh,
Can we request that we want, the
Oh,
boards
we
and
can
whatever?
request,
Yeah.
not the advertisement, the other one, yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you.
So
By
can
the
we do
middle of
like September
September
16th or whatever, our next, the
No, why
second
don't you
meeting
go
in
the
September?
next- Go the next one, because you think about it, it's the end of the summer, they may not meet until the 1st of September, so how about by the, like the 21st, whatever that is, of September?
16th or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah,
So-
something to that effect, then.
Yeah,
Okay,
Please let us know by the,
good point.
For the
the week of
20th.
the 20th, because you're gonna have boards that are off, that won't be back until after Labor Day.
so September 21st, that's a
Except the week
Tuesday.
of the- yeah,
Okay,
week of the-
that
Oh,
works.
the week of the 20th.
Week of the, okay.
Well, do we wanna have it
Or just say our
back
next
for,
meeting.
well, our meeting is the
That's
16th.
October.
That's,
Do we want it before the 16th meeting we have, or do we want?
I don't know if you get, well, we can try. We'll see what we
Because I
get.
think we're gonna evaluate, right? So we wanna have the application so we can
Oh,
evaluate.
no, you mean for the advertisement, for the individual?
Yeah,
But
and,
no, what we want is, part one, is we want them to tell who they're bringing,
yeah,
so we know it's that, yeah, by the 16th. We'll tell everybody.
I-
by the 16th.
but that one that has Adams Farm and the rec, remember, we have to decide between those.
No, that's what it says, still talking.
We haven't yet.
Jack, we did.
Did we make that resolve, who we're getting?
I think we said a member of one of those four. So
Yes.
then ideally, all of those four would
Have to
submit
work.
applications
That will
and
be
then
in
we
Kate's-
decide.
That's right, that's what we
That will be
originally
in
decided.
Kate's,
Okay.
so Kate should notify all of them, that was
Yep.
part of the
Yeah, we'll-
notes.
I just wanna give them a deadline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
prior to
Well,
the
she should
16th.
put that, yeah, she should put
Well,
that in her letter,
especially in that one where they
definitely.
might meet all
Yeah,
over
but
the
the
place.
16th, they should have at least one meeting before that, and how hard is the picket?
Yeah,
Okay,
And the other thing is, when you send it to them, it's not like they don't get any of the information from the town. I mean, you would hope that if you don't meet until September 1st, and you haven't been there since the 1st of August, you get your mail and all that crap.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I would venture to say the two people that we're gonna take applications from and pick, it's okay if those are after everybody else is formed,
Yeah, 'cause this
because they
takes a
can
while.
jump on, it's not gonna be
Yeah.
done
Takes
in a
a while.
week, you know?
Is that the only thing?
Yeah, that's it, I just wanted to get a
I
date.
had a motion, and a second.
Second?
Second by Phil, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.